Chapter 31:18. Why did you run away when you saw me? Are you so afraid of me? Emochinyon teased the little demons of the barbarian demon clan with a faint smile on his face. Hearing Emochinyon's words, the little demons were furious. They wanted nothing more than to rush over and fight with Emochinyon. However, reason told them that it was not a smart move to fight with Emochinyon now. Although they could not fight with Emochinyon, the little demons did not dare to show weakness. One of them shouted angrily, "Emochinyon, don't be arrogant. If you continue to act like this, you will die in the hands of the ancient undead demons sooner or later." Hearing the little demon's words, Emochinyon smiled indifferently and said, "Thank you for your concern. In fact, I also want to keep a low profile, but my strength doesn't allow it. I'm so powerful. When these ancient undead demons saw me, they volunteered to be my bodyguards. What do you think I should do?" Emochinyon's answer immediately made the little demons vomit blood. Emochinyon was too pretentious. A group of ancient undead demons chased him until he ran away. He didn't dare to feel ashamed and actually became arrogant because of this. Although the little demons of the barbarian demon clan were very angry at Emochinyon's attitude. However, they had to admit that although the ancient undead demons chased after Emochinyon, they did protect Emochinyon. If it weren't for these ancient undead demons, they would have definitely taught Emochinyon a lesson when they saw Emochinyon. "Gentlemen, I still have something to deal with, so I won't play with you anymore." After chasing a few little demons of the barbarian demon clan for a while, Emochinyon didn't want to waste any more time. He waved to the group of ancient undead demons behind him and said, "Little ones, go and beat them up." As soon as Emochinyon finished speaking, his figure flashed and disappeared from the spot. Emochinyon flashed several times in a row and went far away, getting rid of the pursuit of the ancient undead demons. Roar, roar, roar! After losing track of Emochinyon, the departed spirit ancient demon immediately went mad and chased after a few lesser demons of the barbarian demon lineage. Seeing the performance of these ancient dead demons, the barbarian demons were so scared that their souls almost left their bodies. At the same time, their hatred for Emochinyon had reached its peak. Emochinyon was too hateful. He was too shameless. Time and time again, he lured the undead ancient demons to chase after them. "I can't take it anymore. If I continue to be hunted like this, I will go crazy. Could it be that you want to fight the ancient departed spirit demon? Don't be impulsive. Doing so is equivalent to throwing your life away." "I don't want to fight the ancient departed spirit demon. I want to leave this place. I don't want to stay here. I can't run anymore, my saint energy is running out." As the barbarian demons fled for their lives, a sense of despair rose within them. At this moment, as they were fleeing for their lives, a familiar figure flew over their heads. Seeing the figure flying over their heads, the barbarian demons were pleasantly surprised. They said, "Yuli, come and save us. We can't hold on any longer." The Taichu Thunderfire bird immediately went up to them and asked in confusion, "What's wrong with you? I remember that you were the first to escape from the pursuit of the ancient departed spirit demon. Why are you being chased by so many ancient departed spirit demons?" Hearing Yuli's question, the barbarians were so aggrieved that they were about to cry. They did not want to. One of the barbarians said gloomily, "We were hiding well. We were going to cultivate and recover before finding an opportunity to meet up with you." But before we could heave a sigh of relief, Emochinyon led a group of ancient departed spirit demons and flew towards us. We had no choice but to run for our lives. Emochinyon chased us for a while before he turned around and fled. He left the ancient departed spirit demons to us and chased us all the way here. After knowing what had happened, Yuli's gaze turned cold. His aura turned cold as he said, "It's this guy again. It seems that if I don't teach him a lesson, he'll really think we're easy to bully." Emochinyon fled in that direction. "I'll go find him immediately and teach him a lesson." Hearing Yuli's question, the barbarians raised their hands and pointed in the direction Emo Chinyun had fled in. After knowing the direction Emo Chinyun had fled in, Yuli did not hesitate and chased after him. Humph! Emo Chinyun is dead this time. Seeing Yuli chasing after Emo Chinyun, a barbarian snorted and said proudly. However, as soon as the barbarian finished speaking, the barbarians beside him looked at him strangely. Noticing that the barbarians beside him were looking at him as if he was an idiot, the barbarian was puzzled and asked, "Why are you looking at me like that? Don't you want to teach Emo Chinyun a lesson?" "Of course we want to teach Emo Chinyun a lesson, but now's not the time. Are you stupid? Yuli is chasing after Emo Chinyun. Who's going to lure these ancient departed spirit demons away for us? Stop arguing and flee in the direction of the exit. If we can't get rid of these ancient departed spirit demons, we'll leave the Dyke tribe. That's the only way. Otherwise, we'll all die here." After the barbarians discussed for a while, they sped up their escape. Emo Chinyun had no idea about the situation of the barbarians. He shook off the ancient departed spirit demons and chased after Chu-Li and the others to meet up with them. Emo Chinyun flew for an hour before he found Chu-Li and the others and quickly flew to their side. Seeing Emo Chinyun coming to his side, one of them tensed up and said, "You've shaken off those ancient departed spirit demons. There aren't any other ancient departed spirit demons following us, right?" Hearing this person's question, Emo Chinyun shook his head helplessly and said, "Don't worry, we've shaken off those ancient departed spirit demons, and there aren't any other ancient departed spirit demons following us." Emo Chinyun found that his previous two actions were too shocking and had scared Chu-Li and the others. Hearing Emo Chinyun's words, Chu-Li and the others relaxed, and their hanging hearts were put at ease. Looking at Emo Chinyun in front of him, Chu-Li's expression was a little complicated, and he said, "Emo Chinyun, ancient departed spirit demons are running rampant in the Dyke tribe now, and there are ancient departed spirit demons running wild everywhere. It's not a good idea to keep hiding. Do you have any good suggestions?" When Chu-Li asked this question, the others all tensed up and looked at Emo Chinyun. Although Emo Chinyun's realm was not high and he always caused all kinds of trouble, he did have the most tricks up his sleeves. Perhaps Emo Chinyun could really come up with a way to avoid the pursuit of the ancient departed spirit demons. Seeing everyone looking at him, Emo Chinyun smiled snappily and said in his heart, "What's wrong with these guys? They were hiding from me before, but now they're asking me for advice." Although he felt funny in his heart, Emo Chinyun did not say much and began to think of a way to deal with it. Emo Chinyun thought for a while, and he came up with an idea and said, "Isn't it very simple to avoid the ancient departed spirit demons?" As soon as they heard Emo Chinyun's words, Chu-Li and the others immediately sat up straight and looked at Emo Chinyun expectantly. They all wanted to know what good idea Emo Chinyun had. Chapter 31:19. Under normal circumstances, undead ancient demons run rampant on the ground. We can dig holes and hide underground. Under everyone's expectant gaze, Emo Chinyun told them his idea with a faint smile. After listening to Emo Chinyun's explanation, Chu-Li and the others were dumbfounded. They felt that their worldview had collapsed. Was this even possible? They were already underground, but they still had to dig holes underground? Although Chu-Li and the others were depressed, they had to admit that what Emo Chinyun said was very reasonable. After speaking his thoughts, Emo Chinyun did not want to waste time. He urged Chu-Li and the others. Now the undead ancient demons in the Dyke tribe seem to have become very manic. There will be undead ancient demons here at any time. You guys hurry up and dig holes. I will observe the surroundings. If there are undead ancient demons approaching, I will lead them away. Hearing Emo Chinyun's instructions, Chu-Li and the others immediately found a hidden corner to dig holes. Chu-Li and the others began to dig holes. Emo Chinyun flew into the air and observed the surroundings. What Emo Chinyun did not expect was that as soon as he arrived in the air, he attracted the attention of a monster. Emo Qingyun actually ran into the air. This saves me the trouble of looking for him. Seeing Emo Qingyun in the air, the huge flying bird flapped its wings and flew toward Emo Qingyun at high speed. The huge flying bird approached at high speed. Emo Qingyun quickly noticed its existence, and a look of surprise appeared on his face. He said, "Absolute beginning Thunderfire bird? Looking at this guy's posture, it seems to be looking for me." While Emo Qingyun was puzzled, the absolute beginning Thunderfire bird Yuli arrived in front of him and said coldly, "Emo Qingyun, this time there are no undead ancient demons. Let's see how you can still be arrogant. You led the undead ancient demons to attack us again and again. Do you really think we can't do anything to you?" Hearing Yuli's words, Emo Qingyun was sure that this guy was looking for him. "A little demon like you wants to find trouble with me?" Looking at Yuli, who was not far away, the corners of Emo Qingyun's mouth curled up slightly, and a playful look flashed in his eyes. Since Yuli had come alone, he was sure that he would soon make Yuli doubt his life. "I alone am enough to deal with you." In response to Emo Qingyun's question, Yuli raised his head arrogantly, looking very confident. Seeing Yuli's performance, Emo Qingyun smiled meaningfully. He immediately turned around and flew towards the ground, saying, "Seeing how confident you are, I won't fight with you." Emo Qingyun was not afraid of Yuli in a one-on-one duel. However, it was not easy for him to defeat Yuli in an extremely short period of time. In this way, if they fought for too long, it would definitely draw the attention of the ancient specter demons. Chuli and the others were digging a hole. If they attracted the undead ancient demon, not only would their previous efforts be wasted, but they would also be in danger. This kind of result was not what Emo Qingyun wanted. "You want to escape? It's not that easy. Just surrender obediently." Seeing Emo Qingyun escape to the ground, Yuli snorted coldly and chased after Emo Qingyun. The feeling that Emo Qingyun gave him was that he was fast, but his strength was not too strong. Therefore, when Emo Qingyun faced him, he chose to turn around and run away. It was normal that he did not dare to fight with him. Seeing Yuli catch up, the smile on Emo Qingyun's face immediately became wider. When he came near Chuli and the others, Emo Qingyun shouted at them, "Let's put the digging aside for now. It's time to get down to business. I've brought a guy who's alone." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Chuli and the others turned their heads and saw Yuli approaching at an extremely fast speed. Immediately, Chuli and the others' eyes lit up, and they couldn't wait to rub their fists. After being chased by the ancient specter demons for so long, they finally met someone they could vent their anger on. When Chuli and the others discovered Yuli, Yuli also discovered them. He immediately trembled in fear. This time, he was in big trouble. He had actually charged into the main camp of the wisdom demons all by himself. Looking at Chuli and the others, they were like hungry wolves who had been hungry for half a month and were ready to eat him alive. "Run!" Realizing that the situation was not right, Yuli was very straightforward and did not want to stay at all. However, in this situation, how could Emo Qingyun let him escape? "Stupid bird, didn't you want to fight with me? Why are you so scared? Your combat strength can't last long." Seeing Yuli's actions, Emo Qingyun showed a playful smile, teased him, and chased after him. Emo Qingyun's figure flashed, and he caught up with Yuli, blocking his way. Tyrant Dragon Sky Shattering Fist. Arriving in front of Yuli, Emo Qingyun threw a punch at him, putting his life on the line. Seeing Emo Qingyun's action, Yuli jumped in fright and immediately retreated to dodge. Emo Qingyun risking his life had nothing to do with him. There were still Chuli and the rest to rescue him behind. He could not do this. If he was injured, facing Chuli and the rest's siege, there was absolutely no possibility of escaping alive. Except, what shocked Yuli was that he actually could not shake off Emo Qingyun. Seeing that he could not shake off Emo Qingyun, Yuli no longer retreated. His expression was dark as he faced Emo Qingyun and said, "Humph! At the entrance, you were seriously injured by Divine King Barbarian Trap. I don't believe that your injuries recovered in such a short time. Bang bang bang, while Yuli was talking, he exchanged blows with Emochinyon several times. Each time was more intense than the last. After several exchanges, what shocked Yuli was that Emochinyon was actually completely fine. There was no sign of injury at all. Seeing this situation, Yuli came to a conclusion. Emochinyon was not injured at all. This way, at the entrance of the ancient demon cave, Emochinyon's injuries were feigned. This guy actually pretended to be injured and scammed a Divine King Realm powerhouse for 5 million heaven crystals. When Yuli got such a result, he was directly stunned on the spot, feeling like his worldview completely collapsed. Could it still be played like this? Were the Wisdom Demon Lineage's fellows so gutsy now? Seeing Yuli's performance, Chu-Li and the rest guessed his thoughts, all revealing sympathetic gazes. When they discovered back then that Emochinyon pretended to be injured and scammed Barbarian Trap, their mood was also not much better than Yuli's. Seeing Chu-Li and the rest rush over and surround Yuli, Emochinyon did not talk nonsense with him and shouted, "Attack together, take him down." The moment Emochinyon's words faded, he took the lead, charging over toward Yuli. Emochinyon's offense was domineering and fierce, forcing Yuli to not dare to take it head-on. He could only carefully dodge continuously. Following that, Yuli was completely entangled by Emochinyon and could no longer attend to Chu-Li and the rest beside him. Seeing Emochinyon play the role of a meat shield, blocking all of Chu-Li's attacks, Chu-Li and the rest felt relieved in their hearts. No longer needing to worry about Yuli's attacks, Chu-Li and the rest's offense immediately unleashed to the extreme. Under Chu-Li and the rest's all-out siege, Yuli was seriously injured very quickly, losing the strength to fight again. Chapter 31:20. You're all despicable and shameless. How dare you fight me with numbers? That's not fair and square. Yuli shouted angrily after being heavily injured by Emochinyon and the others and losing the ability to fight again. In response to Yuli's shouts, Emochinyon directly slapped him down and shouted, "So what if we outnumber them? Back then, I fought 20 of you alone. Didn't you all run away in fear?" Hearing Emochinyon's words, Chu-Li and the others wanted to cry but had no tears. Let's not talk about this anymore. You should at least be a little shameless. Was he fighting 20 of you alone? After giving Yuli a fierce slap, Emochinyon shouted impatiently, "Cut the crap and hand over the medallion. Otherwise, we'll have no choice but to kill you and take the medallion from you." Yuli turned his head away from Emochinyon's order. He seemed like he would not obey. He said, "My grandfather and ancestor are both God King experts. Try touching me if you dare." Hearing Yuli's threatening words, Chu-Li and the others frowned. They didn't know what to do with Yuli. This guy's identity was not simple. If they really killed him, there would be a lot of trouble. However, if they didn't kill him and he didn't hand over his token, it would also be a headache. Chu-Li pondered for a moment and said angrily, "Yuli, you're clearly acting shamelessly and breaking the rules of the competition." "Am I?" Yuli didn't care about Chu-Li's accusation at all. He said, "If you're not satisfied, you can kill me. However, if you dare to do so, you'll have to think about the consequences. You're just a stupid bird. Do you really think I don't dare to kill you?" Seeing Yuli's arrogant attitude, Emochinyon immediately became unhappy. He raised his hand and slashed at him. He shouted, "I don't believe that the 2 divine kings in your family can do anything to me after I kill you. Anyway, I've already offended 1 divine king. It doesn't matter if I offend 2 more." Seeing Emochinyon slash at Yuli, Chu-Li and the others were shocked. They were frightened by Emochinyon's actions. Looking at Emochinyon's stance, he really wanted to kill Yuli. Chu-Li and the others were not the only ones who were shocked. Yuli was shocked as well, and his face turned pale in an instant. If Chu-Li was the one who did it, he would think that Chu-Li was just trying to scare him. However, he did not dare to doubt Emo Qingyun. This was because Emo Qingyun was simply too daring. He even dared to trick God King Barbarian Cage. He was truly not afraid of offending two more God Kings. Stop, stop. Yu Li's heart was filled with fear, and he immediately shouted loudly. Hearing Yu Li's shout, Emo Qingyun's hand tilted slightly and slashed at Yu Li's wing. Poochie! After being struck by Emo Qingyun's sword, a ferocious scar appeared on Yu Li's right wing. Looking at the wound on his right wing, Yu Li's face turned pale, and a strong sense of lingering fear rose in his heart. He was sure that if he had not shouted in time, his head would have been chopped off. Ignoring Yu Li's fear, Emo Qingyun pointed his sword at him and said, "If you have any last words, say them all at once. I can't guarantee that I will be able to hold back next time." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Yu Li felt extremely wronged in his heart. Did Emo Qingyun hold back? If he had held back, how could he have injured his right wing with a single slash? He suddenly realized that Emo Qingyun's way of speaking was different from what he had imagined. If he analyzed Emo Qingyun's words according to his train of thought, he would be in a very dangerous situation. Thinking of this, Yu Li's heart was filled with fear. He took out his token and said, "This is my token. I will give it to you. Please spare my life." When Yu Li said this, his heart was filled with humiliation. However, he did not want to die. Seeing Yu Li take out the token, Chu Li and the others revealed brilliant smiles on their faces. Emo Qingyun was still the best. He took care of Yu Li with one sword and made him obediently hand over his token. However, what made Chu Li and the others depressed was that after Emo Qingyun took the token, he said, "What you are doing is really putting me in a difficult position. I am a man of my word. If I say that I want your life, I will definitely take your life. Now you are asking me to go back on my word. This is not in line with my character." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Yu Li really wanted to cry. This was too much of a bully. Chu Li and the others at the side also looked at each other after hearing Emo Qingyun's words. What was going on? Did Emo Qingyun really want to kill Yu Li? Under the shocked gazes of Chu Li and the others, Yu Li trembled and said, "Mr. Emo." "No, Master Emo, what do you think I should do to spare my life?" Yu Li said it in a tough tone just now to scare Chu Li and the others. His family had two godly kings. As one of the future successors of his family, he had a noble status and unlimited potential. If he was really killed by Emo Qingyun, he would really be wronged. Even if the godly king of his family killed Emo Qingyun in the future to avenge him, he would still suffer a great loss. If a person died, there would be nothing left. Only when he was alive would there be hope. Seeing Yu Li's reaction, Emo Qingyun nodded in satisfaction. He smiled brightly and said, "Let me ask you, how much is your life worth?" Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Chu Li immediately understood what Emo Qingyun was trying to do. After understanding Emo Qingyun's intention, even with Chu Li's mentality, he could not help but exclaim, "Damn, there is such a thing. This guy is a professional robber." Hearing Chu Li's shocked words, the people at the side nodded in succession. They agreed with his words. Seeing Emo Qingyun's skillful operation, it was obvious that he had done this many times before. "How much is my life worth?" Hearing Emo Qingyun's question, Yu Li understood. Emo Qingyun wanted him to pay for his life. Thinking about the value of his life, Yu Li hesitated. If the price was set too low, he was worried that Emo Qingyun would not be interested. If the price was set too high, he would suffer a great loss. Seeing that Yu Li did not speak for a long time, Emo Qingyun said impatiently, "Don't dilly-dally. We still have to dig a hole. I will give you 5 breaths to think about it. If you don't answer, I will take it as a rejection. You don't have much money anyway. The godly king is still generous." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Chu Li and the others trembled. Cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. Seeing Emo Qingyun's attitude, It seemed like he still wanted to scam the godly king. He would not feel comfortable if he did not seek death. Yuli's thoughts were different from Chuli and the others. When he heard Emo Qingyun's words, he felt that Emo Qingyun was hinting at the price. If his price was lower than 5 million heaven crystals, Emo Qingyun might not accept it and directly take his life. When Yuli thought of this, he had an urge to cry. He had really suffered a great loss this time. I don't have 5 million heaven crystals. I only have 1 million heaven crystals and some cultivation resources. Yuli thought for a while. His voice choked as he said the price for his life. If you can accept it, I will use these things in exchange for my life. As Yuli spoke, he took out more items and placed them in front of Emo Qingyun. End of chapter. Chapter 31-21. That's an eternal grand primordium star fruit. Yuli actually has this thing. 100 million year reincarnation, reversal blood grass. It can defy the heavens and transform bloodlines, and there are as many as 10 stalks. Primordium wild thunder tree heart. He even has this kind of good thing. This is worth at least 1 million heaven crystals. As expected of a clan with 2 divine kings. This kind of wealth is too terrifying. Emo Qingyun made a killing this time. I hope he won't have any trouble. Seeing the things that Yuli took out, Chuli and the rest's eyes went wide. They were envious of Emo Qingyun to the extreme. To them, 100,000 heaven crystals was a huge fortune. Emo Qingyun coming to the ancient Fey cave this time, from start to finish, he earned more than 10 million heaven crystals. Why was there such a huge gap between them? 100 million year reincarnation, reversal blood grass. This thing is not bad. Looking at the 10 stalks of blood-colored grass in front of him, Emo Qingyun revealed a pleasantly surprised smile, thinking to himself, I've been thinking about finding natural treasures to transform Worryless and the rest's talent. Now that I have these reincarnation reversal blood grass, all the problems are solved. Sweeping a glance at the things that Yuli took out, Emo Qingyun did not stand on ceremony with him either. He raised his hand and took everything away with a beckon. Seeing Emo Qingyun take away the things, Yuli's expression relaxed slightly. He looked at Emo Qingyun expectantly and said, I've already given you the things. Can you let me go now? Let you go? Hearing Yuli's question, Emo Qingyun's brows furrowed and he said, You really want me to let you go now? Yuli had a puzzled look. His tone carried some displeasure as he said, Are you going to go back on your word? Something like going back on my word, I disdain to do it. Emo Qingyun shook his head and gave Yuli an answer. He continued, In your current state, if I throw you here, do you have the ability to protect yourself? But you reminded me. I took your money, so it's enough to spare you. As for whether you'll be killed by the departed spirit ancient Fey, what does it have to do with me? Upon hearing Emo Qingyun's question, Yuli's body trembled, showing a strong sense of fear. Right now, it was difficult for him to even turn around. If Emo Qingyun really left him here, once he encountered an undead ancient demon, he would definitely die. Understanding his situation, Yuli immediately gave in and begged Emo Qingyun, Master Emo, I've wronged you. Please don't hold it against me. Please let me go after the competition is over. Looking at the conversation between Emo Qingyun and Emo Qingyun, Chuli and the others all had strange expressions on their faces. Why do I feel that their conversation is a little strange? Something's not right. Why would Emo Qingyun be so kind? Concerned about Yuli's safety? No, there must be a scheme behind this. Emo Qingyun is definitely up to no good again. It can't be. Emo Qingyun can't be that evil, right? Are you thinking too much? Chuli and the others whispered. While Chuli and the others were talking, Emo Qingyun walked around Yuli and said, Do you really have 2 divine kings in your family? Hearing Emo Qingyun's question, Yuli had some doubts in his heart. He did not know what Emo Qingyun meant. Was he suspecting that he was bragging, or was he afraid of the strength behind him? Yuli thought for a moment, but still did not dare to threaten Mo Qingyun. He hurriedly said, I don't dare to lie to you. My family really has 2 divine kings. But don't worry, I won't tell them about today's matter. You don't have to worry about their revenge. Hearing Yu Li's words, Mo Qingyun curled his lips in disdain and said, Who told you that I asked how many divine kings you have in your family because I was worried about their revenge? I asked you this because I can't figure out why you're so poor with 2 divine kings in your family. The surroundings were quiet. Everyone was dumbfounded. I knew it. Mo Qingyun definitely doesn't have good intentions. A person with early-stage heaven general cultivation took out something worth 5 million heaven crystals, and Mo Qingyun actually said he's poor. I really want to know how Yu Li is feeling right now. Chu Li and the others wailed. Chu Li and the others were depressed. Yu Li was really about to cry now. But without waiting for Yu Li to speak, Mo Qingyun turned around and waved at Chu Li and the others, saying, You guys don't have to watch. Quickly go and dig a hole. I'll continue to watch from midair. As for this guy, just leave him here. Whether he lives or dies will depend on his fortune. In any case, he asked for it. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yu Li's face turned green. He wished he could slap himself. Why was his mouth so cheap? He wanted to question Mo Qingyun's words, causing Mo Qingyun to no longer care about him. Master Mo, please wait a moment. Yu Li gritted his teeth and took out a small boat. He said, This is a heavenly god-level flying boat. It's the last thing I have. I'll give it to you. Please don't leave me here. Seeing Yu Li's actions, Chu Li and the others trembled, and their expressions became stiff. This was King possible. He really got something out of it. But what shocked them was that Mo Qingyun looked at the flying boat, but looked hesitant. He said, You're really making things difficult for me by doing this. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chu Li and the others wanted to cry. Was he going to extort them again? Under the gazes of Chu Li and the others, Mo Qingyun said unhurriedly, Think about it. If you die, I won't have to worry about you taking revenge, right? If I take you with me, don't I have to protect your safety in these 3 days? It's not too much to ask for an additional fee, right? Also, if you leave the ancient demon cave alive and bear a grudge against me, and want to take revenge on me in the future, won't I have one more powerful enemy? If that's the case, my future safety is no longer guaranteed. It will make me uneasy and affect my cultivation. Shouldn't you compensate me? If I agree to take you with me in these 3 days, if your injuries are too serious and you need to be treated, I'll treat your injuries and extend your life. It's not too much to ask for an additional fee, right? Under the shocked gazes of everyone, Mo Qingyun blabbered on about a dozen charging terms in a row. After listening to Mo Qingyun's explanation, not only did Yu Li break down, but Chu Li and the others also doubted their lives. CK. This is King possible. I've really learned something. Master, he's really awesome. He can even think of these things. I've learned it. He can cheat people like this. It's too awesome. I, Chu Li, have never admired anyone in my life. Today I'm impressed. I can't afford to offend him. This guy is more terrifying than the King of Gods when it comes to reasoning. The expressions of Chu Li and the others slowly changed from dumbfounded to admiring. To cheat people to the extent that Mo Qingyun did, it could be considered to have reached an extreme. At this moment, in the hearts of Chu Li and the others, they admired Mo Qingyun to the extreme. Chapter 31:22. Kill me, ah! While Chu Li and the others were sighing, Yu Li completely broke down and yelled with a crazy face. Looking at Yu Li's appearance, Chu Li and the others were all deeply moved, and a look of sympathy emerged in their eyes. This guy was cheated by Mo Qingyun and completely doubted his life as a demon. Looking at him like this, he probably really did not have anything to pay Mo Qingyun's fee. Yu Li's reaction made Mo Qingyun very helpless and showed a disappointed expression. He knew that Yuli was probably really poor and could not squeeze anything out of him. Getting such a result, Mo Qingyun no longer listed the terms of the fee and said, "Why are you so stingy? You're a junior of 2 divine kings after all. I just asked you to take out something and you look like you're desperate." Don't be desperate. Looking at your attitude just now, it's still considered sincere. I'll protect you for 3 days. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chu Li and the others' expressions relaxed a little. They were very worried that Mo Qingyun would really play Yuli to death. After deciding to protect Yuli for 3 days, Mo Qingyun threw him to Chu Li and the others and said, "You guys look after him for a while. I'll continue to watch in midair. Summon me at any time if there's a situation." Mo Qingyun's figure moved and came to midair again, observing the situation around. Regarding Mo Qingyun's instructions, Chu Li and the others did not object and brought Yuli to dig a hole together. An hour passed very quickly. With the efforts of Chu Li and the others, they dug out a hole with an inconspicuous entrance and a very open interior. If they did not let Yuli go in, the entrance might be smaller and look even more inconspicuous. Chu Li and the others dug the hole. After a while, Mo Qingyun returned to the hole. Not long ago, an undead ancient demon came nearby. Mo Qingyun lured them away. When Mo Qingyun entered the hole, his brows furrowed tightly, showing some dissatisfaction. "What's wrong? What's wrong with that?" Seeing Mo Qingyun's behavior, Chu Li and the others were puzzled. They waited for Mo Qingyun's suggestion. Hearing their questions, Mo Qingyun nodded and said, "There's a big problem with the hole you dug. There's only one entrance to this hole. The drawbacks are too great. If the entrance and exit are blocked, won't we all become turtles in a jar? You don't even have the chance to escape? Therefore, for the sake of safety, we must prepare some backup plans to deal with unexpected situations." Chu Li and the others nodded in agreement. They felt that what Mo Qingyun said made sense. This was something that they had not thought of. Immediately, everyone looked at Mo Qingyun with even more admiration. Mo Qingyun was too professional. His considerations were too thorough. Under the admiring gazes of Chu Li and the others, Mo Qingyun continued, "As the saying goes, a cunning rabbit has 3 burrows. We have more than 20 people here. We have to make at least 5 backup exits. The backup exits don't have to be the same as the entrance. They don't have to be connected to the ground. They have to keep some distance from the ground. If they are connected, they need someone to guard them. This is too energy-consuming." After Mo Qingyun's analysis, Chu Li and the others nodded in understanding. They admired Mo Qingyun even more. This way it was really foolproof. As for Yuli, who was beside him, he also listened attentively and memorized these little tricks. If he encountered such a situation in the future, he could learn from Mo Qingyun and dig a hole to hide underground to save his life. After explaining to Chu Li and the others for a while, Mo Qingyun glanced at Yuli next to him and found that he was also listening seriously. He said, "These are important points of knowledge. You actually eavesdropped on them. It doesn't matter if you eavesdropped. Remember to pay the tuition fee later." After listening to Mo Qingyun's words, Yuli had the urge to vomit blood. He was really going crazy. When they saw that Mo Qingyun wanted to collect fees from Yuli again, Chu Li and the others smiled bitterly. They did not know what to say. However, their admiration for Mo Qingyun became even stronger. Although Mo Qingyun's cultivation level was not high, his methods were too awesome. Especially this method of collecting fees. It was simply unseen and unheard of. He explained the details of digging holes to them and still wanted to collect fees from Yuli next to him. Under everyone's shocked gaze, Mo Qingyun did not care about Yuli's depression and said, "Although you have nothing to pay now, it doesn't matter. You can write an IOU. Remember to pay later." Yuli rolled his eyes and lay on the ground motionlessly. He looked like he had nothing to live for. He really could not stand it. He felt that being with Mo Qingyun really made him doubt his life as a demon. It's really awesome. He can even write an IOU to collect fees. I've learned it. This is also an important knowledge. Remember it. In the future, no matter who you offend, you can't offend Mo Qingyun. This guy is too calculative. Looking at Yu Li's miserable state, Chu Li and the others sighed in their hearts. What Chu Li and the others did not expect was that after Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he actually took out a scroll made of animal skin and scribbled some words on it. After writing, Mo Qingyun walked to Yu Li's side and used his claws to leave a mark on the scroll. Seeing Mo Qingyun's serious actions, Chu Li and the others did not know whether to laugh or cry. They did not know how to describe their feelings. Mo Qingyun did all this. He did not want to stay in the cave anymore. He went outside and said, "I'll go out and take a look. You guys stay in the cave and don't run around. If you encounter danger, ask me for help at any time. I'll come to help you in time." In any case, his speed was fast. The departed spirits and ancient demons could not catch up with him. They were no threat to him. Listening to Mo Qingyun's instructions, the expressions of Chu Li and the others immediately became strange. They asked Mo Qingyun for help, and Mo Qingyun came to help them. Would he also charge them a fee? They did not have a strong background like Yu Li, but they had a rich family. Looking at the expressions of Chu Li and the others, Mo Qingyun guessed their thoughts. He shook his head and said, "I don't charge for helping you. Am I such a person in your eyes? If that's the case, you really disappoint me. You really don't understand me." While talking with Chu Li and the others, Mo Qingyun's heart moved. He suddenly remembered something. "I almost forgot about this." Mo Qingyun raised his hand and waved. He took out a crystal box and said, "Help me take a look. Is the thing in the crystal box the origin of the Divine General's conception?" Looking at the crystal box in front of them and the things inside, Chu Li and the others were in a mess. The origin of the Divine General's conception was something that could only be left behind after the death of a Divine General. In other words, if Mo Qingyun wanted to get it, he had to go to the fortress of the Divine General's departed spirits and ancient demons. At this moment, they finally understood why the Divine General's departed spirits and ancient demons chased after Mo Qingyun like crazy. At the same time, they also understood why the departed spirits and ancient demons of the Di-Wu tribe suddenly became restless. These were all good things done by Mo Qingyun. Chapter 31-23. With this thought in mind, Chu Li's expression tensed up. Chu Li couldn't help but ask, "You were chased by a Heaven General undead ancient demon before. Did you take its source of Heaven General concept from its fortress?" Although he had already guessed the result, he still wanted to hear it with his own ears. Mo Qingyun gave him an answer. Mo Qingyun shook his head at Chu Li's question and said calmly, "No, when it chased me before, I didn't destroy its nest. However, after I shook it off, I did go to its nest and looted everything inside." Destroyed the nest of a Heaven General undead ancient demon? Hearing Mo Qingyun's answer, the expressions of Chu Li and the others twitched as such a thought flashed through their minds. Immediately, they felt that their hearts couldn't take it anymore. At the same time, they also felt some lingering fear and their hearts were hanging in the air. Without destroying the nest of the Heaven General undead ancient demon, the Heaven General undead ancient demon went crazy. If the Heaven General undead ancient demon knew that Mo Qingyun had destroyed its nest, how crazy would it be? With this thought in mind, Chu Li and the others looked at Yu Li sympathetically. They looked at Yu Li not because they sympathized with him, but because they sympathized with the barbarian demons. The Earth Dragon tribe's undead ancient demon went crazy. If it couldn't find Mo Qingyun, it would definitely vent its anger on the barbarian demons. The barbarian demons were all big, so it wouldn't be easy for them to hide. If that was the case, they would probably be in a very miserable situation. Feeling the gazes of Chu Li and the others, Yu Li's gaze also became complicated. Some expectation appeared in his eyes as he thought, I hope nothing bad will happen to those guys in the next few days. As for whether they would encounter any trouble, Chu Li no longer had extravagant hopes. Was there a need to think about it? Judging from the current situation, the situation of the barbarian demons was definitely not optimistic. Chu Li and the others and Yuli sighed. They looked at Mo Qingyun with resentment in their eyes. It was true that everyone entered the Earth Dragon tribe together, but what about the difference in treatment? Ever since they entered the Diwu tribe, they had been constantly being chased and on edge. Chu Li and the others were in a slightly better condition, but not by much. They could only hide in the cave to save their lives. What about Mo Qingyun? Ever since this fellow arrived at the ancient Fey cavern, he had been making a fortune. The gap between them and Mo Qingyun was too great. He was not giving them a way out. Mo Qingyun did not care about the gloominess of Chu Li and the others. A satisfied smile appeared on his face as he said, "Since we have found the origin of the Heavenly General's conception, we have achieved our purpose in coming to the Heaven Realm." Seeing that he had achieved his goal, Mo Qingyun relaxed and put away the crystal box. Seeing that Chu Li and the others had given them an answer about the origin of the Heavenly General's conception, Missouri Qingyun was unwilling to stay any longer. He said, "Since we have nothing to do now, let's go take a look around. We might be able to gain something." Although the things in the fortresses of ordinary undead ancient demons are not as good as those of the Heavenly General Realm, there are still many cultivation resources that the Star Domain Realm does not have. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun went out of the cave under everyone's envious gazes. They also wanted to go out and make a fortune, but they did not dare. They did not have Mo Qingyun's ability. When Mo Qingyun came out of the cave, he clearly sensed the frenzy of the surrounding undead ancient demons. After observing the situation around for a while, Mo Qingyun led all the undead ancient demons to other places. At the exit of the Diwu tribe, 3 huge monsters were chased by a group of undead ancient demons. Despair flashed in their eyes. They really could not run anymore. From the moment they entered the Diwu tribe until now, they had been chased for a whole day. In a day, they had been running with all their might. Their saint power was almost exhausted. "I can't take it anymore. I want to leave the place of the competition. I want to leave too. I've been chased by the undead ancient demons. I'm about to collapse. How is this a competition? It's clearly a torture. It's all Mo Qingyun's fault. He deliberately lured the undead ancient demons to harm us." The monsters talked for a while, and then rushed into the passage. When the monsters rushed into the passage, the undead ancient demons of the Diwu tribe stopped chasing them. However, the undead ancient demons did not leave. They guarded the entrance of the passage and roared crazily. Looking at the undead ancient demons at the entrance of the passage, the monsters felt ashamed and prayed silently in their hearts. "I hope these undead ancient demons have already left when the other guys come to the entrance of the passage. Should we lure these undead ancient demons away so that others won't be surrounded when they come?" "Lure them away? How? If we go out now, we will be torn apart by them." The monsters talked for a while and then turned to leave. Walking out of the passage, the monsters were a little depressed. If they went out, it meant that they were eliminated. After a while, the monsters came out of the passage and came to Man Chong. Seeing the monsters coming out in a sorry state, Man Chong looked at them nervously and asked, "What's the situation inside? How did you get eliminated?" Hearing Man Chang's question, the little monsters felt extremely wronged and began to report the situation inside. "The situation inside is very bad. There are many undead ancient demons chasing us crazily. Since I entered the Diwu tribe, I have been chased by the undead ancient demons. I have been running for my life for a whole day. It's all Mo Qingyun's fault. He lured the undead ancient demons here." The monsters explained one by one. After hearing the words of the little monsters, Man Chong was immediately furious. Emo Chinyan tricked him at the entrance of the ancient demon cave. After entering the competition, he dared to trick the juniors of their tribe. What a bold boy! When he comes out, I will teach him a lesson. The more Man Chong thought about it, the angrier he became. He swore to teach Emo Chinyan a lesson. Seeing Man Chang's reaction, Chu Renyun said with dissatisfaction, Man Chong, according to what you said, the juniors of our tribe suffered a loss at the hands of the barbarian demons. Should I teach the barbarian demons a lesson? Hearing Chu Renyun's rebuttal, Man Chong snorted and did not say anything. Seeing Man Chang's silence, Chu Renyun's expression tensed up. He was worried and said, the undead ancient demons in the Di Wu tribe are rioting. The juniors of the barbarian demons are in danger. The people of the myriad demon emperor palace are probably not spared. I wonder how they are doing? According to the words of the barbarian demons, Emo Chinyan seems to have caused a lot of trouble in the Di Wu tribe. As Chu Renyun thought about this, he started to worry about Emo Chinyan's safety in the Di Ku tribe. End of chapter. Chapter 31-24. Emo Chinyan came out of the cave and wandered around, plundering the undead ancient demons' fortresses. In this process, Emo Chinyan gained a lot, obtaining all kinds of rare cultivation resources. There were some rare cultivation resources. Although Emo Chinyan couldn't name them, he could sense rich energy fluctuations coming from them. Because of Emo Chinyan's plundering of cultivation resources, the undead ancient demons became more manic and ran crazily in the DK tribe. As the undead ancient demons became more manic, the situation of the little demons of the barbarian demon lineage became worse. In the northwest of the DK tribe, several huge demon beasts were being chased by a group of undead ancient demons. My saint power is about to be overdrawn. Am I going to die here? I can't run anymore. What's wrong with these undead ancient demons? They seem to have been stimulated by something. Could it be the doing of the wisdom demon lineage? Impossible. If they did it, they will also be unlucky. I really don't understand why the Patriarch chose this place to let us compete. We can't run around anymore. Let's run to the passage and find a chance to leave here. After a discussion, they ran to the passage and prepared to leave the DK tribe. After an unknown period of time, they finally arrived at the entrance of the passage under the efforts of a few little demons. But when they saw the scene at the entrance of the passage, they were all dumbfounded and their hearts sank to the extreme. The entrance of the passage out of the DK tribe was blocked by a group of undead ancient demons. This was cutting off their path of survival. Looking at the situation at the entrance of the passage, a little demon calmed down and said, "Don't panic, everyone. Let's split up. Jiayi and I will continue to lead these undead ancient demons away. Yushi and Tan Qin will lead the undead ancient demons away from the entrance of the passage. When the undead ancient demons at the entrance of the passage are lured away, we will gather together and rush toward the entrance of the passage." Listening to the command of this little demon, the other little demons immediately nodded in agreement. After a while, with the efforts of a few little demons, the undead ancient demons at the entrance of the passage were lured away. At this moment, when a few little demons were about to enter the passage, a figure flew over at high speed. Behind this figure was a large group of ancient undead demons. As they surged forward, they kicked up a cloud of dust. It's him. Why is he here? Why would this guy appear at this time? What kind of monster is this? Why is it everywhere? Not good. He's running towards the exit. The exit is blocked. Seeing Emo Chinyan appear, the small demons broke down and had the urge to cry. Under their desperate gazes, Emo Chinyan led a group of undead ancient demons to block the entrance of the passage. Not only that, but judging from the current situation, they seem to be surrounded by the ancient undead demons. Am I really going to die here? I just want to go home. Why can't you fulfill my request? What should we do? What do we do now? Seeing their situation, the small demons panicked and didn't know what to do. Just when these little beasts were at a loss of what to do, Emochinyon noticed them and said in surprise, "These little beasts seem to be preparing to leave the demon tribe. They just happened to see me running in this direction, so I blocked their way. The luck of these guys is really terrible." Emochinyon thought of this and sympathized with the small demons. They must be in despair now. While Emochinyon was sympathizing with the few lesser demons, he had an idea in his mind. He said, "Throw the ancient departed spirit demons to them. After these ancient departed spirit demons kill them, they will definitely block the entrance of the passageway and prevent us from leaving. I have to think of a way to lure these ancient undead demons away to avoid trouble when we go out. If I lure the ancient undead demons away, these small demons will be saved. I can't let them off so easily." Emochinyon thought for a while and made a decision. He shouted at the small demons, "Guys from the barbarian demon lineage, I'll discuss something with you now. Each of you will take out 1,000,000 heaven crystals and I'll lure these ancient undead demons away. How about it?" Hearing Emochinyon's words, the small demons trembled and a hint of anticipation appeared in their eyes. However, their eyes soon dimmed. They were not like Yuli and the others. They did not have as much wealth as they did. Seeing the behavior of the small demons, Emochinyon frowned and roughly guessed the situation. If nothing went wrong, these guys probably didn't have 1,000,000 heaven crystals on them. No matter how small a mosquito is, it's still meat. They have a lot of people, so it doesn't matter if they have fewer people. I'll just treat it as a small profit but quick turnover. Emochinyon thought to himself and decided to take a step back. Small profit but quick turnover? Just as Emochinyon was thinking about this, an idea flashed in his mind. He revealed a surprised smile and said, "There are a total of 20 small demons in the barbarian demon lineage. Besides these few, there are still more than 10 left. If I extorted a sum of money from them, wouldn't it be a lot of wealth? Especially that Dan Chi and Bai Lingling. These two guys have the same status as Yuli. I'm sure their families are very rich." At this moment, Emochinyon suddenly realized that he had found another way to get rich. In this way, these ancient undead demons couldn't be lured away. They should stay and block the exit. After coming up with a plan, Emochinyon said to the few small demons, "Throw out the valuable things on you. I will lure away the undead ancient demons around you. You will find a chance to escape to the side. Then, I'll lure the ancient undead demons at the exit and you guys find a chance to leave through the passage." Hearing Emochinyon's words, the small demons didn't dare to hesitate and immediately took out some cultivation resources. At this time, they had no other choice but to believe in Emochinyon. Soon, cultivation resources were thrown out one by the small demons. When the small demons threw out the cultivation resources, Emochinyon lured away the ancient undead demons beside them. Seeing that the small demons had been rescued, Emochinyon's figure flashed and quickly took away the cultivation resources. With the cultivation resources in hand, Emochinyon didn't stop and began to lure away the ancient undead demons at the entrance of the passage. After a while, under the guidance of Emochinyon, the ancient undead demons at the entrance of the passage were lured away. He said, "Don't just stand there. Hurry up and leave. I'm going to close the door." "Close the door?" Hearing Emochinyon's urging, the small demons were dumbfounded. They didn't understand what Emochinyon meant. However, they didn't dare to think too much and immediately rushed into the passage. When the small demons rushed into the passage, they clearly understood Emochinyon's words just now. Emochinyon walked the ancient undead demon and circled around before returning to the entrance of the passageway and blocking it completely. Looking at this scene, the few little demons were enraged. They were about to curse out loud. Emochinyon actually used this method to extort money from them. It was too sinister and shameless. Chapter 31-25. outside the entrance of the Earth Dragon tribe. While everyone was waiting, a few more barbarian demons dragged their tired bodies out. Seeing these little demons come out, Man Chang's mood became even worse. A few more barbarian demons had been eliminated. If this continued, the barbarian demon tribe would most likely lose the competition. "What's wrong with you guys?" Seeing the juniors on his side being eliminated one after another, Man Chang questioned in an unhappy tone. Hearing Man Chang's question, the little demons felt wronged and seemed to have found someone to talk to. "Senior Man Chang, you must make the decision for us and teach Mo Qingyun a lesson for us." Mo Qingyun of the intelligence demon lineage entered the Earth Dragon tribe and caused chaos among the ancient dead demons, causing them to run amok. Not only that, he also led the violent undead ancient demons to us and used their power to deal with us. Since I entered the Earth Dragon tribe, I have been chased by the undead ancient demons and never stop. I also ran for 2 days without rest. I really couldn't run anymore, so I had to come out. Mo Qingyun also led a large group of undead ancient demons to block the exit of the passage. We want to come out of the competition place and pay him a toll. The little demons seemed to have discussed and all threw the blame to Mo Qingyun. Hearing the words of these little demons, the little demons who came out earlier were all dumbfounded. When did the undead ancient demons at the entrance of the passage become Mo Qingyun's? Wasn't it the undead ancient demons that chased them when they escaped and stopped at the entrance of the passage? Although they were very puzzled, these little demons didn't ask any questions. They let Mo Qingyun take the blame. Now that Mo Qingyun took the blame for them, they were relieved of their worries. At the same time, they also felt a little proud in their hearts. They finally made Mo Qingyun suffer a loss. As for whether Mo Qingyun really suffered a loss, that was unknown. After listening to the story, Man Chang became even angrier. He said, "Mo Qingyun of the Wisdom Demon branch is really bold. He dares to scheme against the juniors of our branch again and again." Man Chang growled angrily, but didn't say anything else. Instead, he took a few small beasts to the side to rest. Listening to their conversation, Chu Renyun's expression became complicated. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He really didn't expect that Mo Qingyun would actually engage in the shady business of blocking and robbing people in the Diwu tribe. But it had to be said that Mo Qingyun's ability was not small. Up until now, all of the younger generation of the barbarian demon race had suffered at his hands. No wonder the palace lord allowed Mo Qingyun to enter. This brat is indeed capable. Thinking of Mo Qingyun's performance, Chu Renyun revealed a happy smile, and his good impression of Mo Qingyun increased greatly. Inside the cave, Chu Li and the others sat cross-legged on the ground. Each of them had a dull expression as they looked around without interest. They had been hiding in the cave for 2 days. They couldn't do anything but sit here foolishly. This feeling made them feel like a year. So boring. When can we go out? This competition is really boring. There's no challenge at all. If I knew it would be like this, I could win the competition alone. Yeah. When the competition time is up, we will probably win. This is too easy. Chu Li and the others complained. Hearing the words of Chu Li and the others, Yu Li, who was lying on the side half dead, snorted coldly and said, "Humph. Each of you boasted shamelessly. If you really have the ability, leave the cave and try it outside. If it wasn't for Mo Qingyun messing up our plan this time, you definitely wouldn't be our match." Yu Li's ridicule interrupted Chu Li and the others, making them very unhappy. Mo Qingyun had more tricks than them. This was something they admitted. But to say that they were inferior to the barbarian demons was something they couldn't accept. "Humph. Our business has nothing to do with you. Stay quietly at the side." Hearing Yu Li's words, Chu Li snorted softly and said something displeased. After Chu Li said that, he thought for a while and said, "If you really have nothing to do, then think about how you're going to repay Mo Qingyun's debt. The debt you owe him now isn't just a small amount. Hearing Chu Li's words, Yu Li's body immediately trembled and his beastly face twitched. In these 2 days, Mo Qingyun had been using all kinds of excuses to collect fees from him. Although he couldn't pay, Mo Qingyun didn't care and wrote him all kinds of IOUs. He didn't care too much about Mo Qingyun's IOUs. After all, he didn't plan to pay them back after leaving. However, although he didn't plan to pay them back, the fact that he owed Mo Qingyun made him feel uneasy. He couldn't describe this feeling. Anyway, it was very suffocating. Seeing that Yu Li was honest, Chu Li and the others smiled proudly. A wicked person would be defeated by another wicked person. While they were talking, Mo Qingyun returned to the cave. These undead ancient demons are getting crazier and crazier. It's too dangerous in the Dike tribe. After Mo Qingyun entered the cave, he found a place to sit down and took a deep breath with a lingering fear. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the expressions of everyone in the cave immediately became complicated. The undead ancient demons of the Dike tribe went crazy because of him. He knew that it was dangerous outside, and no one asked him to go out, but he insisted on going out to make a fortune. Seeing everyone looking at him, Mo Qingyun thought for a while and said, "I'm afraid it's not easy to leave the Dike tribe now. Even if the assessment is over, we may not be able to go out. I suggest that we send someone to report the situation to Elder Chu Renyun when we leave the place of the competition. When the time of the competition is over, let him come to pick us up to avoid any unforeseen event." The reason why Mo Qingyun said this was because some unforeseen events happened when he was luring the undead ancient demons. Not long ago, when he was luring the undead ancient demons to the entrance of the passage, he encountered the heavenly general undead ancient demon from before. This guy discovered the entrance of the passage and actually squatted there without leaving. Moreover, he was constantly summoning the undead ancient demons. If this continued, they would become turtles in a jar, and no one would be able to leave the Dike tribe. As for Mo Qingyun's path to wealth, it was also destroyed by the heavenly general undead ancient demon. Mo Qingyun didn't care about this. He had already gained a lot from this trip to the ancient demon cave. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chu Li's expression was nervous as he asked, "Is it really dangerous?" In his opinion, since Mo Qingyun said so, the situation was probably not optimistic. "It's very dangerous." Mo Qingyun nodded and said, "There are only a few hundred undead ancient demons over there now. If I lure them away, there's still some hope. If we continue to wait, more and more undead ancient demons will gather. It won't be easy to lure them away." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chu Li no longer hesitated and decided to leave the place of the competition to report. Immediately, Mo Qingyun and Chu Li left and rushed toward the entrance of the passage. Chapter 31-26. Half an hour later, Mo Qingyun and Mo Qingyun rushed at full speed and arrived at the entrance of the passage. When they arrived at the entrance of the passage, they didn't know whether to laugh or cry. They saw a few small demons of the brute demon clan standing in front of them. Looking at the few small demons in front of him, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but laugh and said, "These small demons of the brute demon clan are really too awesome. They always come to help me in time. This time, they're going to help me a lot again." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chu Li smiled bitterly and couldn't help but sympathize with the demons of the brute demon clan. For these fellows to encounter Mo Qingyun, they really had 8 lifetimes of bad luck. What's going on? Why are there so many undead ancient demons here? Who did this? This is too wicked. With so many undead ancient demons here, how are we going to get out? Stop talking nonsense and run. If we're surrounded by those undead ancient demons, we're dead. While Mo Qingyun and Mo Qingyun were talking, the wails of the few small demons in front of them reached their ears. From the voices of the few small demons, Mo Qingyun and Mo Qingyun could hear how desperate they were. However, what surprised Emo Chingyun was that when the few small demons were running for their lives, the undead ancient demons didn't chase after them. What's going on? Looking at this scene, Chuli was puzzled and turned to ask Emo Chingyun. Emo Chingyun was also very puzzled by Chuli's puzzlement. This scene was too abnormal. These undead ancient demons in front of them seemed to be very rational and didn't show any signs of irritation. Could it be that I overlooked that these undead ancient demons also have intelligence? Looking at the situation in front of him, Emo Chingyun was puzzled and began to guess a possibility. He said in a deep voice, "It seems that the situation isn't good. These undead ancient demons seem to know that as long as they guard the entrance of the passage, we won't be able to leave here. Stay here and don't move. I'll go over and take a look. If I can lure them away, you can find a chance to escape." With that, Emo Chingyun's figure flashed and he flew towards the entrance of the tunnel. What made Emo Chingyun depressed was that as soon as he approached the passageway, the undead ancient demon went crazy. The undead ancient demon, which had been very calm just now, instantly rushed toward him as if it had been injected with chicken blood. Looking at this scene, Emo Chingyun was extremely depressed and had the urge to go crazy. How could he not understand that these ancient undead demons were guarding this place specifically to deal with him? Roar, roar, roar! A series of violent cries came out of the departed spirit ancient demons. Following that, Emo Chingyun sensed a powerful aura enveloping him. That's the Heaven General Stage Undead Ancient Demon. Sensing the aura of the Heaven General Undead Ancient Demon, Emo Chingyun's expression tightened, and he immediately turned around to flee. At this time, if he was entangled by the Heaven General Undead Ancient Demon, he would be surrounded. Hundreds of undead ancient demons surrounded him. Even if there were only more than 100 of them at the Heaven Soldier realm, it was not something he could contend against. Seeing that Emo Chingyun was about to escape, the Heaven General Undead Ancient Demon immediately chased after him. Behind the Heaven General Undead Ancient Demon, the other undead ancient demons followed closely behind, no longer having the slightest bit of rationality. Emo Chingyun really knows how to attract hatred. Even the undead ancient demons hate him so much. Looking at Emo Chingyun's encounter, Chuli cursed in his heart and could not help but have such a thought. However, when he thought about how the undead ancient demon's fortress had been emptied by Emo Chingyun, he felt relieved. As the undead ancient demons chased after Emo Chingyun, the entrance of the passageway quickly became empty, leaving only a few dozen undead ancient demons scattered around. There are only a dozen or so undead ancient demons left, and 5 of them at the Heaven Soldier realm. I might be able to forcefully break through the obstruction. Chuli looked at the entrance of the passageway not far away and weighed the pros and cons in his heart, considering whether he should take the risk. Based on the current situation, this was the best opportunity for him to leave. Once he missed it, it would be difficult for him to have another opportunity. Chuli thought for a while, gritted his teeth, and rushed toward the entrance of the passageway. When Chuli rushed toward the entrance of the passageway, the few small demons who had escaped earlier discovered the situation on Emo Chingyun's side. Look, Emo Chingyun is being chased by a group of undead ancient demons. Let's quickly escape from him. Hurry up and avoid him, lest he throws the undead ancient demons to us again, and let them resolve the crisis for him. Don't worry, look at those undead ancient demons. Don't they look like the ones at the entrance of the passageway? It's really those undead ancient demons. Since these undead ancient demons have been lured away, is there no one blocking the entrance of the passageway? Let's go back and take a look. The few small demons discussed for a while before they also rushed toward the entrance of the passageway. As soon as the few small demons appeared, Emo Chingyun noticed them. He chuckled and said, "These small demons are braver than me. When they saw me, they didn't hide far away. They even wanted to take this opportunity to rush into the passageway." Emo Chingyun mocked them in his heart for a while. Then, his figure flashed and flew toward the entrance of the passageway. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed a few times, and they caught up with the few small demons. He said, "You small demons, I didn't painstakingly lure the undead ancient demons away to serve you. If you want me to help you lure the undead ancient demons away, you have to do things according to the rules and pay some compensation." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the few small demons were both angry and afraid. For a moment they did not know what to do. While the few small demons were panicking, Mo Qingyun looked at the entrance of the passageway and found Yu Li fighting with a few undead ancient demons. Yu Li's situation is not good. I have to help him. Seeing the situation on Yu Li's side, Mo Qingyun's heart stirred, and he flew toward him at top speed. As Mo Qingyun flew away quickly, the target of the undead ancient demons changed to a few small demons. Seeing such a scene, the small demons immediately panicked. Mo Qingyun, let's talk things over. Don't go. Mo Qingyun, I'm not done with you. Master Mo, what do you want? Tell me. Cousin, my thigh is injured. It's starting to bleed. Get lost. You're not bleeding. You're pissing your pants. A few of the small demons were in a panic. Mo Qingyun ignored the shouts of the small demons. He quickly came to Yu Li's side and said, I'll hold them back. You quickly enter the passageway. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he blocked the ancient departed spirit demon for Yu Li and engaged in a fierce battle with it. Seeing Mo Qingyun's situation, Yu Li hesitated for a moment before rushing into the passageway. The undead ancient demons behind had already arrived. If he hesitated now, he and Mo Qingyun would not be able to leave. Roar! As soon as Yu Li entered the passageway, the Heaven General undead ancient demon chased after him and rushed toward Mo Qingyun. Seeing the arrival of the Heaven General undead ancient demon and Yu Li entering the passageway, Mo Qingyun no longer fought with the undead ancient demon. Soon, Mo Qingyun got rid of the undead ancient demons and flew toward the small demons. Chapter 31:27. Have the few of you thought it through? Mo Qingyun came to the side of a few small demons and asked them, This heavenly general undead ancient demon has been chasing after me. I don't have time to waste with you. Give me an answer in 5 breaths. Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the few small demons straightforwardly took out some cultivation resources and handed them to Mo Qingyun. Some of them are missing. Looking at the things that the few small demons handed over, Mo Qingyun frowned and showed some dissatisfaction. Is this your sincerity? Yushi, Tanqin, and the others from your lineage are much more straightforward than you. Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the few small demons were shocked. They didn't expect that Mo Qingyun had already completed several business deals before they had arrived. Knowing this, the few small demons did not dare to hesitate and immediately took out some more things. I've given you all my cultivation resources. I hope you keep your word and won't just take the things without doing anything. Hurry up and lure the undead ancient demon away. I can't hold on any longer. After taking out some more things and handing them to Mo Qingyun, the few small demons urged him. After receiving some cultivation resources from the few small demons of the barbarian demon lineage, Mo Qingyun nodded in satisfaction and said, In this case, the things that each small demon handed over are worth about 500,000 heaven crystals. This should be their limit. Mo Qingyun estimated the value of the resources given by the few small demons and was shocked. The wealth of the barbarian demon lineage's juniors seemed to be much stronger than that of the wisdom demon lineage's juniors. Although he was very puzzled, Mo Qingyun did not think too much about it. He said to the few small demons, I'll lure the undead ancient demon away now. You guys find an opportunity to enter the passage. I can't guarantee that I'll lure all the undead ancient demons away. If there are only a few undead ancient demons left, you guys can think of a way to deal with them yourselves. Hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, the small demons did not express any dissatisfaction. They nodded their heads and accepted it. While Emo Qingyun was discussing with the others, the heavenly general saw the ancient undead demon approaching and charged towards them. Seeing that the heaven general undead ancient demon was about to attack a few small demons, Emo Qingyun hurriedly stood in front of it. He shouted at the small demons, "All of you back off. I'll stop it." While he was reminding the little demons, Emo Qingyun's body was also growing rapidly. In the blink of an eye, Emo Qingyun had transformed from a handsome young man into a 100-meter-long dragon. Sky-shattering Tyrannosaurus fist. Transforming into his amethyst thunder dragon form, Emo Qingyun stretched out his right claw as Saint energy gathered madly on his right claw. Following that, Emo Qingyun's right claw collided with the ancient undead demon's right claw, creating a terrifying shockwave. Emo Qingyun did not retreat at all under the shockwaves of this power. Instead, he used his body to withstand it. Bang! 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 Forcefully resisting the impact of the shockwave, Emo Qingyun was forced to retreat continuously, pulling away from the heavenly general undead ancient demon. As Emo Qingyun retreated, he transformed back into his human form and coughed up blood. Cough, cough, cough. Emo Qingyun stabilized his body and coughed up a few more mouthfuls of blood. His face became very pale as he thought to himself, "The heavenly general undead ancient demon is indeed powerful. Just a casual attack has caused me to suffer a serious injury." After this exchange, Emo Qingyun had a clear understanding of the heavenly general powerhouses. Previously, in front of the spatial rift, although he had fought with the Dragon Claw Fierce Sun Leopard, it was not a head-on fight like this. The Dragon Claw Fierce Sun Leopard had only injured him with a wisp of aura, and its power had also been dispersed. Seeing that Emo Qingyun was about to escape, the heavenly general undead ancient demon ignored the few small barbarian demons and directly chased after Emo Qingyun. Roar! 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 When the heavenly general undead ancient demon chased after Emo Qingyun, nearly 1,000 undead ancient demons followed closely behind him. As for the few small demons, the undead ancient demon did not chase after them. It seemed to treat them as if they did not exist. Seeing such an outcome, the few small demons were extremely depressed and suffered a strong blow. This was looking down on demons too much. If we don't take out cultivation resources and bribe Emo Qingyun to lure the undead ancient demon away, we will be fine, right? You're thinking too much. Do you think that with Emo Qingyun's character, he will let such a thing happen? No, this guy is sinister and shameless. If we don't take out cultivation resources, he will definitely cheat us to death. Although that guy is sinister and cunning, he still has principles. At least he will do what he is paid to do. Emo Qingyun blocked the attack of the heavenly general undead ancient demon and seems to have suffered a serious injury. He has indeed suffered a serious injury. If it wasn't for him just now, we would have been in danger under the attack of the heavenly general undead ancient demon. He is really strong. His true form is actually an amethyst thunder dragon. Thinking back to Emo Qingyun's performance just now, the few small demons were shocked and emotional. After a few small demons conversed, one of them said anxiously, "This is not a place to stay for long. Emo Qingyun might not be able to hold back the heavenly general undead ancient demon. Let's get out of here first." The other small demons nodded in agreement. Immediately, the few small demons no longer hesitated and rushed towards the entrance of the passage together. A large number of undead ancient demons were lured away. Now there were only a few scattered undead ancient demons left in front of the passage. With the strength of the few small demons of the barbarian demon lineage, it was not difficult to deal with these undead ancient demons. Soon, the undead ancient demon at the entrance of the passage was repelled by the few small demons. After repelling the undead ancient demon, the small demons rushed into the passageway. After entering the passage, the few small demons did not stop and quickly rushed out of the passage. Outside the passage, after Chu Li entered the passage, he quickly moved forward and reported the situation to Chu Renyun. Seeing Chu Li come out of the passage, Chu Renyun revealed a surprised expression and said, "Chu Li, why did you come out? How's the situation inside?" In Chu Renyun's knowledge, among the juniors of the Wisdom Demon lineage who participated in the competition, Chu Li was considered the strongest. Of course, Mo Qingyun, this special case, did not count. Chu Renyun was not familiar with his situation. Now that Chu Li, who was the strongest, came out of the competition grounds, it made Chu Renyun feel a little uneasy. Even Chu Li was forced to come out. It could be seen that the situation inside the Earth Dragon tribe should be very dangerous. Without waiting for Chu Li to answer, Man Chong of the Barbarian Demon lineage smiled proudly and said, "I didn't expect that the first person to come out of the Wisdom Demon lineage is actually the strongest one. Looks like the others are doomed." Hearing Man Chang's words, Chu Renyun's expression twitched, his entire heart hanging in the air. Seeing Chu Renyun's reaction, Chu Li prepared to explain to him. However, when Chu Li was about to explain, he saw several huge figures coming out of the passage. Seeing these figures appear, Chu Li was immediately shocked and felt a little incredulous. In his view, the situation at the entrance of the passage at that time, these barbarian demons absolutely could not come out. Chapter 31:28. Why did they come out? Looking at the few barbarian demons walking out of the passage, Chu Li's face was full of confusion. With his understanding of Mo Qingyun, he would definitely not be kind enough to help these guys leave. Seeing Chu Li's performance, Chu Renyun showed a puzzled expression and said, "What's wrong? Is there something wrong with these juniors of the barbarian demon lineage?" Hearing Chu Renyun's question, Chu Li nodded and said, "When they were at the entrance of the passage just now, they were blocked by a group of undead ancient demons. When they saw that their way was blocked, they were worried that they would be chased by the undead ancient demons at the entrance of the passage, so they hurriedly retreated from the entrance of the passage. In order to let me out, Mo Qingyun went to lure the undead ancient demons away. When they saw Mo Qingyun's actions, they were also attracted back. But according to Mo Qingyun's character, he shouldn't have helped them out. Why did they come out now?" Chu Li was puzzled in his heart, but Chu Renyun seemed to be thinking about something and looked in the direction of the barbarian demon lineage. Then, Chu Renyun smiled faintly and roughly guessed the reason and said, "If I'm not wrong, these juniors of the barbarian demon lineage can come out of the Delong tribe. They should have paid Mo Qingyun a toll." Toll? Chu Li was puzzled and didn't understand what Chu Renyun meant. Seeing Chu Li's puzzlement, Chu Renyun didn't keep him in suspense and immediately explained to him. After a while, after Chu Renyun's explanation, Chu Li was stunned on the spot. He really didn't expect that Mo Qingyun would have such a move. This guy's tricks are really endless. Thinking of the various tricks Mo Qingyun had used, Chu Li couldn't help but sigh in his heart, and admired Mo Qingyun even more. He asked himself, even if he had Mo Qingyun's strength, he couldn't play so many tricks. After talking about a few small demons, Chu Renyun showed a curious expression and said, "Tell me about the situation in the Delong tribe." "Okay." Chu Li nodded. Following that, Chu Li narrated the situation in the Delong tribe to Chu Renyun without missing a single detail. Listening to Chu Li's narration, Chu Renyun's expression became more and more wonderful, and the shock in his heart became more and more intense. At first, he thought that Mo Qingyun might have encountered some danger in the Delong tribe. Only now did he realize that he had been overthinking things. Not only did Mo Qingyun not encounter any danger, he even collected all kinds of treasures inside, earning a lot. This kid's method of accumulating wealth is really unique. Listening to the end, Chu Renyun couldn't help but sigh, admiring Mo Qingyun's ability to amass wealth. When he was at Mo Qingyun's level of cultivation, he didn't have any means to make money. He could only rely on the sex resources to survive. Chu Renyun secretly sighed. He signaled Chu Li to continue speaking. Due to the ancient undead demon's rampage, in order to avoid them, Mo Qingyun taught us to dig holes and hide. After digging a hole and hiding, we will be much safer. We will no longer be hunted down by the ancient departed spirit Fei. Following that, Chu Li told Chu Renyun about everything that happened in the Dilong tribe. Listening to Chu Li's narration, Chu Renyun's expression became even more wonderful. Digging a hole and hiding underground to avoid the pursuit of the ancient departed spirit Fei, how did this kid think of it? Chu Renyun shook his head and smiled bitterly. He really couldn't understand how Mo Qingyun thought of this method. Although he was very puzzled in his heart, knowing that Mo Qingyun and the others were not in danger, Chu Renyun didn't think too much about it. After telling Chu Renyun about the situation, Chu Li's expression became more serious and he said, Mo Qingyun asked me to tell you that when the time for the competition is over, he hopes that you can lead him out. He is worried that the passage entrance will be blocked by the ancient departed spirit Fei. He will not be able to break through the blockade of the ancient departed spirit Fei and come out of the Dilong tribe. Hearing Chu Li's words, Chu Renyun nodded. On the side of the barbarian demon lineage, a few little monsters came to Manju and told him the experience of the Dilong tribe in detail. After listening to the words of a few little monsters, Manju's face showed surprise and he said, You said that Mo Qingyun saved you and blocked the attack of the heavenly general realm departed spirit Fei for you? The report of these little monsters made Manju feel a little incredulous. He couldn't believe that it was true. Was this what Mo Qingyun did? With Mo Qingyun's character, would he be kind enough to save others? Did you make a mistake? Mo Qingyun really saved you? The few little monsters who came out before all felt incredulous and immediately confirmed it. Listening to the questions of the few little monsters in front of them, these little monsters nodded firmly and said, At that time, the heavenly general realm departed spirit Fei obviously wanted to kill us, but Mo Qingyun blocked in front of us and resolved the crisis for us. When he took our things before, he only said that he would lead the departed spirit Fei away, but he didn't promise to block the attack of the departed spirit Fei. His actions have also come as a surprise to us. It seems that he is a man of principles. The serious tone of the few little monsters made Manju and the other little monsters completely believe it. It seems that this kid is indeed very principled, which makes people not so disgusted. Thinking of Mo Qingyun saving a few little monsters, Manju's attitude towards Mo Qingyun immediately changed. In his view, although Mo Qingyun played tricks and cheated the money of the juniors of his lineage, compared to saving the lives of the juniors, it was not worth mentioning. Besides, Mo Qingyun and the others participated in the competition, which was a competition of strength, wisdom, and means. Mo Qingyun did not break the rules, and won fair and square, so there was no fault to be found. The only thing that made him unhappy was that Mo Qingyun even cheated him, making him lose face. Forget it, this seat is a God King powerhouse. How can I lower myself to the same level as a junior? Manju thought in his heart, and his anger towards Mo Qingyun gradually subsided. He thought to himself, although I lost some money, Mo Qingyun made this kid suffer a big loss. In the future, they should be more restrained and no longer have their eyes on the top of their head. Thinking of this, the dissatisfaction in his heart finally disappeared. Inside the Diyao tribe, Mo Qingyun did not know that because he saved a few little monsters, he had calmed down Manju's anger. At this moment, he was being chased by the Heaven General Realm departed Spirit Fei, desperately passing through the Diyao tribe. I can't delay any longer, I have to cultivate and recover from my injuries immediately. Sensing his own situation, Mo Qingyun's flying speed immediately increased a bit. Immediately, the distance between him and the Heaven General Realm departed Spirit Fei was widened. After a while, under Mo Qingyun's full speed, he finally got rid of the Heaven General Realm departed Spirit Fei and came to the cave. You're injured. Seeing Emo Qingyun's pale face and blood at the corner of his mouth, everyone in the cave was shocked. He really could not imagine that there was someone in the Diyao tribe who could hurt Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun did not pay attention to everyone's shock and immediately threw himself into cultivation. Seeing Emo Qingyun cultivating and healing his injuries, no one disturbed him and silently guarded him. End of this chapter. Chapter 31-29. You're injured? Not only were the Wisdom Demon tribe shocked, even Yuli was shocked to see Emo Qingyun injured. After this period of contact, in Yuli's eyes, Emo Qingyun was the one who tricked others, not the other way around. Hearing Yuli's question, Emo Qingyun opened his eyes and looked at him unhappily. Isn't it obvious that it's strange that I'm injured? Emo Qingyun could tell that Yuli's tone was not concerned, but surprised. This made him very unhappy, and he instinctively felt that Yuli was gloating over his misfortune. Seeing that Yuli was no longer speaking, Emo Qingyun ignored him and prepared to continue healing. Just as Emo Qingyun was about to treat his injuries, a thought flashed through his mind. He had a new idea as he thought to himself, my injuries can't be healed. Previously, at the entrance of the ancient Fey cavern, I tricked godly King Barbaric Cage and slandered him for severely injuring me. But I didn't show any signs of injury in the DK tribe. This is something everyone knows. Many of the Barbarian Demon tribe's lesser demons have already left the DK tribe. They must have reported this to Barbarian Trap. If Barbarian Trap uses this to find trouble with me, I'm afraid it won't be easy for me to explain. Now that I'm injured, if he denounces me, I can say that it was caused by him. With this thought, Emo Qingyun's lips curled into a faint smile. This way it would be perfect. Seeing Emo Qingyun's smile, Yuli's body clearly trembled and he took a step back. He clearly remembered that every time Emo Qingyun came back, he would smile at him like this. Seeing Emo Qingyun's smile and Yuli's reaction, everyone sighed in their hearts. Yuli was really sinful. Emo Qingyun was injured, but he still didn't forget to blackmail him. Under the sympathetic gaze of everyone, Emo Qingyun didn't move for a long time, as if he didn't intend to blackmail Yuli. Seeing that Emo Qingyun did not move for a long time, Yuli panicked even more. He felt that the more Emo Qingyun was in no hurry to speak, the more likely he was plotting something big. With this thought in mind, Yuli looked guiltily at Emo Qingyun and said, Emo Qingyun, what do you want this time? If you want to blackmail me again, just say it. Hearing Yuli's words, Emo Qingyun stopped cultivating again and looked at him in confusion. Did this guy have masochism? While he was recuperating from his injuries, the other party came running over to ask him how he was going to blackmail him. What was going on? Was he addicted to being blackmailed? Wouldn't he feel better if he wasn't being extorted? Blackmail you? Why? Emo Qingyun asked Yuli in confusion. Hearing Emo Qingyun's question, Yuli was dumbfounded. As it turned out, Emo Qingyun's smile just now was not because he wanted to blackmail him. Was he imagining things? Not only was Yuli surprised, the people from the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace next to him were also surprised. Had Emo Qingyun changed his temperament? Under intense confusion and suspicion, Yuli sized Emo Qingyun up a few times and said, but the smile on your face just now was obviously malicious. You want to, without waiting for Yuli to finish, Emo Qingyun interrupted him and said, what do you mean? Can't I have some beautiful fantasies? Can't I think about happy things? What's wrong with me smiling? Is there anything wrong with that? Hearing Emo Qingyun's question, Yuli was speechless. Emo Qingyun's words made sense. What was wrong with him smiling when he was happy? Could he not allow it? Regardless of Yuli's thoughts, Emo Qingyun continued, besides, what do you have now that is worth blackmailing? Do you still have half a heaven crystal on you? You owe me a huge debt now. Do I still need to blackmail you? Pauper. Yuli felt wronged. My poverty was not caused by you. Ignoring Yuli, Emo Qingyun continued, Even if I want to blackmail, I will find someone powerful, such as a heavenly god or a god king. Their families are much richer than yours. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Yuli and the others' expressions twitched. At the same time, they understood that Emo Qingyun was indeed planning something big. This guy's guts are really too big. He is already injured to this extent, but he is still thinking about blackmailing heavenly gods and god kings. Wealth comes from danger. Emo Qingyun perfectly interpreted this phrase. Teacher Emo is indeed knowledgeable and has a thorough understanding of literature. He taught me many things. Teacher Emo taught me many things, but I can't use them. It's too difficult. Seeing that Yuli did not go, the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace's younger generation lamented in their hearts, asking them to blackmail heavenly gods and god kings? If they angered a great god expert, their legs would go soft, let alone a heavenly god or god king. Ignoring the thoughts of the people around him, Emo Qingyun closed his eyes again and adjusted his breathing to stabilize his injuries. Although his injuries could not be healed, he still suppressed them to prevent them from worsening. Seeing that Emo Qingyun was immersed in his cultivation again, no one dared to disturb him for fear of angering him. Didn't they see that Emo Qingyun's attitude was getting worse each time Yuli asked him? But then again, Yuli was really stupid. He did not have the slightest bit of foresight. Emo Qingyun's injuries were obviously very serious and he needed to hurry up and treat them. Interrupting Emo Qingyun's cultivation time and time again, it would be strange if he did not scold you. While everyone was mocking Yuli in their hearts, Emo Qingyun opened his eyes again. He looked at Yuli thoughtfully and said, "You've reminded me. You've interrupted my healing twice, causing my injuries to be unable to recover smoothly. You have to compensate me. Your family has 2 god kings and is rich and overbearing. I said a small amount because it's an insult to your family. Compensate me with 1 million heaven crystals." Asterisk cough cough cough. Asterisk hearing Emo Qingyun's words, the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palaces group smiled bitterly. They knew that Emo Qingyun would not change his temper. In the end, he still blackmailed Yuli. As for Yuli, Emo Qingyun had really extorted him, satisfying his strong request. Emo Qingyun had definitely extorted him. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Yuli almost went crazy. This was too much of a bully. Shortly after, Yuli rolled his eyes and pretended to be dead on the ground. His current mood could only be described with one word: cold. Seeing Yuli's performance, the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palaces group sympathized with him. What a sin! How did you bully Emo Qingyun in your previous life? Running over to pay your debt in this life. After bullying Yuli, Emo Qingyun's mood was much better and he once again immersed himself in cultivation. As Emo Qingyun cultivated and treated his injuries, the cave quieted down again. Leaning against the wall, they were either in a daze or chatting. There was no other way. After seeing Yuli's fate, no one dared to disturb Emo Qingyun. Time passed quickly during cultivation. End of chapter. Chapter 31:30. Time passed quickly during cultivation. Several hours passed during Emo Qingyun's cultivation. My injuries have been stabilized. Now I just have to wait for the competition to end. Emo Qingyun opened his eyes and smiled with satisfaction. I don't know what Chu Li said, but I hope Elder Chu Renyun can come to our rescue after hearing it. Emo Qingyun asked Chu Li to pass a message, saying that he was worried about the undead ancient demons blocking the way was only one of the reasons. He was worried that he would be taught a lesson by Divine King Manchong if he went out of the Earth Dragon tribe without Chu Renyun's help. The fury of a Divine King expert was extremely terrifying. Even if Manchong wouldn't kill him, he would teach him a lesson, which would be too much for him to bear. As for taking revenge on Manchong, it was no joke. Although Emo Qingyun was very confident, breaking through from the Heavenly Soldier realm to the Divine King realm was a matter of time. Seeing Emo Qingyun withdraw from cultivation, everyone from the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace looked at him and said, Emo Qingyun, the time of the competition is up. Should we leave? Listening to everyone's words, Emo Qingyun's face showed surprise. He was a little surprised by this situation. He didn't expect that the competition would end just as he finished cultivating. Listening to everyone's question, he nodded and said, If so many of us go out, it will be easy to attract the attention of the undead ancient demons. Once we are discovered, it will not be good for us to hide. I will go out and take a look. If Elder Chu Renyun comes to our rescue, I will bring him to you. Listening to Emo Qingyun's explanation, everyone nodded in agreement. Immediately, Emo Qingyun rushed out of the cave under everyone's gaze. As soon as he came out of the underground cave, Emo Qingyun clearly sensed several terrifying spiritual consciousnesses sweeping the area. Elder Chu Renyun and the others are here. Sensing a few powerful divine senses, Emo Qingyun's expression was happy, and he flew towards Chu Renyun and the others. Emo Qingyun was not worried. He mistook Man Chong and the other demons for Chu Renyun and the others. He was still very familiar with Chu Renyun's aura. Not long after, Emo Qingyun met up with Chu Renyun, and his hanging heart was completely relieved. Staying by Chu Renyun's side, even if Man Zhang wanted to find trouble, it wouldn't be easy. Where are they? Looking at Emo Qingyun in front of him, Chu Renyun asked about the others. Hearing Chu Renyun's question, Emo Qingyun did not waste time and directly led the way in front. Before long, under Chu Renyun's lead, they arrived in front of the cave. Greetings, Elder. When everyone saw Chu Renyun's arrival, they all revealed a look of joy and bowed to Chu Renyun. In response to everyone's greetings, Chu Renyun indifferently waved his hand. He looked at Yuli and said, How do you plan to deal with him? Hearing Chu Renyun's question, Yuli was nervous, worried that Emo Qingyun would change his mind. Under Yuli's nervous gaze, Emo Qingyun said with a serious expression, I promised before that I would take him out safely. Take him out later and send him to the hands of Divine King Man Chong. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Yuli's hanging heart was completely relieved. Although Emo Qingyun was hateful and had many tricks to blackmail him, he was still very trustworthy. Okay. Knowing Emo Qingyun's thoughts, Chu Renyun didn't say much and led everyone to the entrance of the passage. It was unknown whether Chu Renyun and the others killed all the undead ancient demons or scared them into hiding. Along the way, Emo Qingyun and the others didn't encounter any undead ancient demons. It was as if they were strolling in their own backyard. Not long after, Emo Qingyun and the others left the Earth Dragon tribe, but the demons of the barbarian demon lineage hadn't come out yet. The little demons of the barbarian demon lineage were very scattered. Even if Man Chong personally went out, it would take some effort to find them. Seeing that Man Chong and the other demons hadn't returned, Chu Renyun wasn't in a hurry to leave. He waited patiently in the ancient demon cave. About half a quarter of an hour later, Man Cheng's face was ugly. He led the little demons of the barbarian demon lineage out of the Earth Dragon tribe. Among the little demons of the barbarian demon lineage, Yuli, who had the most noble status, had disappeared. Yuli had 2 divine kings. If something happened to him, it would really be difficult to explain. As for the other juniors, they didn't die, but they were all seriously injured. In this competition, they had lost miserably and in a very ugly manner. Seeing Man Chong and the other demons return, Chu Renyun smiled faintly and asked him, Divine King Man Chong, the result of this competition should be very clear, right? In our lineage, except for Chu Li who took the initiative to come out, the others returned safely. Hearing Chu Renyun's words, Man Cheng's face darkened, producing a strong sense of displeasure. At this time, Chu Renyun saying this to him, was he reminding him that Yuli was missing? Just as Man Chong was about to get angry, he saw Yuli behind Emo Qingyun, and his eyes opened wide. Yuli was actually with Emo Qingyun and the others. This was too out of his expectations. Although Yuli looked like he had suffered extremely serious injuries, it didn't seem to have hurt his foundation. He would be fine after recuperating for a period of time. Seeing that Yuli wasn't in danger, the stone in Man Chang's heart finally fell. Immediately, his mood also improved because of this. He said, "Humph. Consider yourself lucky. Let this kid mess up the situation, completely messing up the rules of our lineage's juniors. Otherwise, it would be impossible for you to win." Regarding Man Chang's displeasure, Chu Renyun didn't care at all. It was fine as long as he felt comfortable in his heart. In any case, no matter how Man Chang explained, their lineage still won. Hearing Man Chang's angry rebuke, Mo Qingyun smiled guiltily and said, "This junior was also forced. Actually, I didn't want to be like this, but I'm different from them. When I entered the Delong tribe, I was seriously injured and couldn't fight with the departed spirit ancient demons." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the expressions of the people around all became strange. In the Delong tribe, the strength that Mo Qingyun displayed, was it like he was seriously injured? Humph. As soon as he saw Mo Qingyun mention this matter, Man Chang was unhappy in his heart and instinctively snorted coldly. At the same time, Man Chang also released an aura that pressed down on Mo Qingyun. In his view, Mo Qingyun mentioning this matter now was slapping his face in front of everyone. The injuries in Mo Qingyun's body were only forcibly suppressed. Puff. Now that he was suppressed by Man Chang's aura, he immediately couldn't suppress it and spat out a mouthful of blood and fell back. Seeing Mo Qingyun's situation, Chu Renyun was shocked and hurriedly caught Mo Qingyun. Not only was Chu Renyun shocked, even the little demons of the barbarian demon lineage also revealed shocked expressions. Was God King Barbarian Trap trying to settle scores with Mo Qingyun here to kill him? When everyone and the little demons thought so, they revealed sympathetic gazes and looked at Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun was going to be in big trouble. The anger of a God King powerhouse was very terrifying. End of this chapter. Chapter 31-31. Kid, don't try this on me. Do you really think I'm a fool who would fall for your tricks again and again? Seeing Mo Qingyun vomit blood and fall to the ground, Man Zhang's expression was cold as he scolded unhappily. From his point of view, Mo Qingyun was clearly trying to blackmail him again. But could the situation be the same now? Previously, Mo Qingyun wanted to participate in the two-pulse competition. If he seriously injured Mo Qingyun would be unable to participate in the competition. He would be labeled as someone who maliciously slandered a candidate of the Wisdom Demon branch. There might be some serious consequences. Furthermore, it was related to the ownership of the ancient Fey Cave. This responsibility was too great, and it was not something that Man Chang could bear. However, the current situation was different from before. Even if Mo Qingyun was a genius from the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace, he was still just a genius. Even if he killed Mo Qingyun, the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace would have to think twice before seeking revenge. One side was a fallen genius while the other side was a divine king expert. It wasn't hard to choose between the two. Hearing Man Chang's words, everyone recalled Mo Qingyun's previous actions and no longer believed that Man Chang had injured Mo Qingyun. They also felt that Mo Qingyun's current injury might be an act. Immediately, the way everyone looked at Mo Qingyun changed drastically. This guy's guts were too big. He actually wanted to use the same old trick to trick Man Chang again. Was he tired of living? Not only did the others think so, even Chu Renyun, who was supporting Mo Qingyun, also began to think so in his heart. He said, "Boy, do you want to die? Although Man Zhang is a boorish fellow, if you really annoy him, the consequences will be very terrible. That's enough. Don't touch the bottom line of Man's trap. Otherwise, even I can't guarantee that I'll be able to protect your life." Chu Renyun felt that Mo Qingyun should not offend a divine king realm powerhouse for some petty profit. He was very optimistic about Mo Qingyun. He did not want to see Mo Qingyun fall in the hands of Man Chong because of this. Hearing Chu Renyun's words, Mo Qingyun wanted to cry but had no tears. He said, "Elder, I'm not pretending. I'm really injured." Mo Qingyun was very depressed now. What was everyone thinking? How could he pretend to be seriously injured in front of Man Chang's trap twice in a row? Seeing Mo's Chu Renyun's expression, Chu Renyun a view, Mo Qingyun's view, Man Chu Renyun's view man's view chooses view chutes? After checking Mo Qingyun, Chu Renyun's face turned ashen. He glared at Man Chong. And view of God's view. Of course, of Chu. T of course s. Man Chong, what do you mean? After learning about Mo Qingyun's situation, Chu Renyun was emboldened. He directly questioned Man Chong. Do you think our 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace is a pushover? Do you think you can injure our sect's genius disciples as you wish? Immediately, Chu Renyun released his aura, pressing towards Yuli and the other demons. Before, Mo Qingyun was pretending to be injured. Chu Renyun was not confident enough and did not dare to make too much trouble. But now that Mo Qingyun was really injured, and seriously injured at that, he had nothing to worry about. Seeing Chu Renyun's reaction, Man Chong was startled. He knew that something was wrong. Looking at Chu Renyun's posture, Mo Qingyun seemed to be really injured and not deliberately pretending to be injured. He's really hurt. With a strong suspicion, Man Chong walked towards Mo Qingyun, preparing to check on Mo Qingyun's condition. Last time, he didn't check and was fooled by Mo Qingyun. This time, he would not be careless and would not give Mo Qingyun a chance to fool him. Mo Qingyun didn't stop Man Chong from inspecting him. This was exactly what he wanted. Besides, last time he participated in the competition because he was worried that Man Chong would secretly tamper with him. This time, he had no reason to do so. Coming in front of Mo Qingyun, Man Chong released his divine sense and checked on Mo Qingyun's body. After a round of examination, Man Chong fell silent. Mo Qingyun was indeed seriously injured. Even the younger generation of the barbarian demon clan was not injured as seriously as Mo Qingyun. He is indeed seriously injured. Knowing Mo Qingyun's condition, Man Chong was very shocked. At the same time, he was puzzled and said, "It doesn't make sense. Although the aura I released this time was stronger than last time, it shouldn't have injured him so seriously." Man Chong was very puzzled. Last time, his aura did not injure Mo Qingyun. Even if he was injured this time, the situation should not be so serious. Boy, don't play tricks with this king. Otherwise, this king will not be polite to you. Although he knew that Mo Qingyun was seriously injured, Man Chong did not retreat and still coldly warned. Hearing Man Chang's warning, Mo Qingyun smiled sadly and said, "Senior is a God King powerhouse, I'm just a Heaven General Junior. How would I dare to play tricks with you? Senior just released a bit of your aura and it is enough to seriously injure me. No matter how many tricks I have, they are useless in front of Senior." Mo Qingyun's flattery worked well on Man Chong, but his tone was still unhappy. "Boy, don't flatter this old man. I won't fall for it. Also, you better not play any tricks, otherwise, this king will not be polite to you." Regarding Man Chang's rebuke, Mo Qingyun did not mind in the slightest and said calmly, "Senior, Junior asks you, if it were you in my place, would you not hesitate to risk your life and offend a divine king powerhouse for a few million heaven crystals? Do you think that with the powerful background of the Yuli clan and the two god kings, they would risk offending a god king powerhouse for a few million heaven crystals? No." Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Man Chong shook his head without hesitation and expressed his attitude. No matter where a god king powerhouse is, they can be regarded as a tyrant. How could a junior dare to offend them? Unless this junior is tired of living. Hearing such an answer from Man Chong, Mo Qingyun nodded with satisfaction. "Since Senior is unwilling, I don't believe that a Heaven General Jr. would dare to offend a God King powerhouse. Why are you so sure that this Junior will risk his life to offend you? Man Chang was at a loss for words, unable to answer Mo Qingyun's question. Mo Qingyun's words seemed to make a lot of sense. Why were they so sure that Mo Qingyun dared to pretend to be heavily injured and swindle him out of a few million heaven crystals? Seeing the hesitation and doubt on Man Ju's face, Mo Qingyun was a bit happy. He continued, I know that Senior and everyone else has a lot of doubts in their hearts. If everyone doesn't mind, please listen to my slow analysis and dispel the misunderstandings in your heart. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, everyone revealed curious expressions, wanting to see what he would say. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Man Chang lightly snorted and put on a dignified posture, saying, Kid, if you can explain clearly, this king will not only apologize to you, but also compensate you. But if you can't explain clearly, don't blame this king for being polite to you. As soon as Man Chang's words left his mouth, the atmosphere became tense. Everyone looked at Mo Qingyun nervously. Could he really explain this matter clearly? Chapter 31-32. Thank you, Senior, for giving me this opportunity. Hearing Man Chang's words, Mo Qingyun nodded respectfully and continued, I won't hide it from Senior, but Junior has a bad habit, that is, I like to puff myself up at my own cost. It's this bad habit that caused this series of events. I didn't expect this either. I was injured by your aura before. It's not fake. It's just that it wasn't as serious as now. Elder Chu Renyun can testify to this point. You can go and ask him. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chu Renyun was stunned. Mo Qingyun actually asked him to testify? Wasn't this a joke? Was there any meaning in asking him to testify? Would he betray Mo Qingyun? Chu Renyun thought it was funny, but at the same time, he sighed that Mo Qingyun was really cunning. No matter what he said was true or false, ordinary people wouldn't dare to question him. The consequences of questioning a divine king expert were really serious. Although Chu Renyun thought it was funny, he didn't show it. He explained a little for Mo Qingyun and became Mo Qingyun's accomplice. Without waiting for others to think more, Mo Qingyun said first, I know, I asked Elder Chu Renyun to testify. Some people are not convinced. About this, we won't look into it. I'll explain it at the end. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, they didn't think too much about it. When it came to the end, Mo Qingyun would naturally explain it. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Man Chang didn't ask any more and said, Let's skip this part and go straight to the end. Yes. Mo Qingyun nodded and continued, Actually, with my injuries at that time, I shouldn't have participated in the competition. But I promised Big Brother Chu, so I couldn't go back on my word. Since I said it, I had to do it. I had to fulfill my promise to him, so I insisted on participating in the competition. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, some of the small demons nodded in agreement. Mo Qingyun was indeed very trustworthy and principled. Mo Qingyun nodded in satisfaction after getting the approval of some small demons. He looked at Yu Li and said, When we just entered the Delong tribe, the barbarian demon clan started to provoke us and asked us to hand me over. Fortunately, Chu Li and the others didn't hand me over. When Chu Li and Dan Qi were fighting, I clearly sensed that Yu Li's consciousness had locked onto me. He wanted to find a chance to ambush and capture me. I'm a person who wants to be strong. When I saw that Yu Li treated me like a soft persimmon and wanted to intimidate everyone by teaching me a lesson, I silently made up my mind to teach him a lesson. Never would I have thought that I would actually catch him in the end. Let's not talk about him for now. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, everyone from the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace turned to look at Yu Li. So this was the reason why Mo Qingyun had extorted Yu Li in the underground cave, and Mo Qingyun had extorted him. At the same time, they sighed in their hearts. Mo Qingyun really held a grudge. Such a small matter had caused Yuli to suspect that he was a demon. As for Yuli, when he heard this, he was even more depressed. He finally understood why Imo-Chingyun would not let him go even though there were so many small demons in the barbarian demon clan. Seeing the reaction of Yuli and the others, Man Zhang's eyes narrowed slightly. He knew that Imo-Chingyun was right. Man Zhang urged, "Don't stop, continue." "Yes." Imo-Chingyun nodded and continued. "As for the shocking strength I displayed in the Dike tribe, everyone mistakenly thought that I wasn't injured at all. This is because I want to maintain my reputation. I wanted to show my strong side so that no one would dare to look down on me. Never would I have thought that I would really scare everyone. I was very happy about this, but in fact, I was just forcing myself. I want to ask everyone, how many times did you really see me fight?" Everyone looked at each other and seriously thought about it in their mind. It really did not seem that many times. Seeing everyone's reaction, Imo-Chingyun smiled bitterly and said, "Did you notice that I was running for my life most of the time?" Everyone nodded in agreement. Imo-Chingyun had indeed tricked the small demons of the barbarian demon clan in the Dilong tribe, but he was also running for his life. Hearing Imo-Chingyun's words, I suddenly realized that this guy was really running for his life. I remember that Imo-Chingyun rarely fought after entering the Dilong tribe and fighting with Chuli. That time when Yuli was chasing him, he did not directly fight with Yuli. It was us who took down Yuli. Chuli and the others thought for a while, and showed a look of understanding. At this moment they gradually believed that Imo-Chingyun was injured at that time. The 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace's people were not the only ones who felt this way. Even Chuli nodded in realization and said, "No wonder I discovered him in midair that time. He didn't dare to fight me head-on and ran away to find Chuli and the others to attack me. I originally thought that he was playing dirty and wanted to fight with more people. Now it seems that he was injured too badly and could not fight fiercely." Seeing Chuli and the others and Yuli's reaction, Man Jie nodded in understanding and believed Imo-Chingyun's words a little more. Imo-Chingyun did not stop and continued, "As for me digging a hole to hide in the Dilong tribe and going out to collect all kinds of cultivation resources, I also have my own difficulties." Chuli and the others were curious, and Yuli also showed a curious look. Imo-Chingyun glanced at Chuli and the others, as well as the little demons of the barbarian demon bloodline, and said, "I am not the same as you. You are either the direct descendants of two divine kings or the descendants of heavenly gods and divine kings. Those who are a little bit weaker are the descendants or disciples of great gods. Me? I am just a kid from the lower realm. First, I have no background in the heaven realm. Second, I have no cultivation resources. If I don't find cultivation resources, how will I cultivate in the future? To be honest, my cultivation is the highest in our village. I broke through the realm barrier and came to the heaven realm." Hearing Imo-Chingyun's words, the little demons of the barbarian demon bloodline showed sympathetic eyes. It seemed that Imo-Chingyun did not have it easy. It seemed that his family was very poor. It is indeed not easy for a poor child to rise up. Manju couldn't help but sigh, and his attitude towards Imo-Chingyun improved a lot. It seems that this kid doesn't have it easy. But in this case, will he use any means to cheat me of my heaven crystals for cultivation resources? Let's see what this kid has to say first. I hope he can give me a satisfactory explanation. Otherwise, everything he's saying now is a lie. I definitely won't let him off so easily. Manju thought silently. He was even more curious and expectant of Imo-Chingyun's words. While Manju was puzzled, Chuli stood up and questioned Imo-Chingyun. "Imo-Chingyun, we know very well that your background is low, but I don't agree with you when you say that you don't have a background. The palace lord has been very optimistic about you from the beginning." Hearing this, the gazes of the barbarian demon bloodline's demons changed when they looked at Imo-Chingyun. In particular, Man Zhang's gaze was filled with coldness, as if he wanted to pierce through Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun was also very surprised that Chu Li suddenly stood out. He felt resentment towards him. This guy wanted to kill him. He actually stood out at this time. Chapter 31-33. Chu Li's question is a good one. Mo Qingyun calmed the shock in his heart and nodded calmly. He glanced at everyone and said, "Everyone has the same doubts in their hearts after hearing Chu Li's words, right?" Everyone nodded and gave Mo Qingyun an answer. Seeing Mo Qingyun's question, Man Zhang's expression eased a little, and his gaze also softened a little. He could see that Mo Qingyun didn't intend to hide and was prepared to give everyone an explanation. Under everyone's gaze, Mo Qingyun took a deep breath and said, "Big brother Chu thinks highly of me, I don't deny this, but my relationship with him is only that of a friend despite the difference in age, not that of a master and disciple or a blood relationship. As my friend, Big brother Chu has helped me a lot. Am I still not satisfied and continue to ask for cultivation resources from him? I just said that I'm a person who cares about face. I can't do this kind of thing." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chu Renyun nodded in praise and thought more highly of Mo Qingyun. Chu Renyun thought highly of Mo Qingyun because this was what he did, not the kind of thing that just said. At least at the moment, except for the bloodline arranged by Chu Jiangshao, Mo Qingyun didn't ask for any other cultivation resources. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, not only did Chu Renyun have a look of praise, but Man Zhang also nodded in praise. From a short understanding, he found that Mo Qingyun was very principled and had a backbone. This wasn't something that could be faked, this was something in his bones. This discovery made Man Zhang think more highly of Mo Qingyun and have a better impression of him. Then, Man Zhang looked at Yu Li and the other demons and said, "You boys, you should learn from Mo Qingyun. Cultivation is your own matter, you can't blindly rely on your elders. If you don't reflect, the person who will rob you next time, if not Mo Qingyun, it will be someone else. After we return, I will inform your elders and have them reduce your cultivation resources. If you don't have enough cultivation resources, you can do what Mo Qingyun did and think of ways to obtain them." Hearing Man Chang's words, Yu Li and the other demons felt gloomy. Did Man Chang betray them? They were the victims. Their cultivation resources had been snatched away by Mo Qingyun. After returning to their clan, Man Gui even asked their elders to reduce their cultivation resources. Was there still any justice in this? However, although Yu Li and the other demons were depressed, they still admired Mo Qingyun. At the very least, in terms of collecting cultivation resources, they were far inferior to Mo Qingyun. Under everyone's gaze, Mo Qingyun took out a token and said, "This is the token that Big Brother Chu gave me. Disciples who see this token will respectfully address me as Young Palace Master." Seeing the token in Mo Qingyun's hand, Chu Li and the others revealed a shocked expression, even Chu Renyun was no exception. They did not expect that Chu Jiangshao would actually hand over the Palace Master token to Mo Qingyun. Facing everyone's shocked gazes, Mo Qingyun laughed self-deprecatingly and said, "But am I really the Young Palace Master of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace? But I don't think so, and Big Brother Chu probably doesn't think so either. Big Brother Chu probably gave me the token to make it more convenient for me to travel and do things in the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace. Big Brother Chu giving this token to me indeed makes it more convenient for me to do things, but it also makes it more troublesome for me to lead the way. For example, those who have hopes of inheriting the position of Palace Master, wouldn't they think that I'm a threat and want to find various opportunities to get rid of me?" When Mo Qingyun said this, he looked at Chu Li with a meaningful look in his eyes. Mo Qingyun's action was not obvious, but it was caught by some people, such as Chu Renyun and Man Chang. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Chu Renyun's brows furrowed, and he had a thoughtful look. Slightly recalling Chu Li's previous actions, Chu Renyun's gaze towards Chu Li had a bit more dissatisfaction. In Chu Renyun's view, with Chu Li's status, he shouldn't stand out to question Mo Qingyun. Chu Li's words just now seemed to have the intention of killing with a borrowed knife. He wanted to use Man Chong to eliminate his opponent. If Mo Qingyun's answer did not satisfy Man Chong, Mo Qingyun's situation would not be good. If Chu Renyun could think of this, Man Chong naturally could also think of this. He looked at Chu Li with disgust. Man Chong said in his heart, "Humph! What a sinister boy! He actually used this old man's hand to kill Mo Qingyun and eliminate his opponent." It seems that Mo Qingyun's words should not be false at all. Man Chang's trust in Mo Qingyun unconsciously increased a little. Mo Qingyun didn't stop there. He continued, "Now, I haven't even taken any of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace's resources, and I've already made some people unhappy. What will happen if I take some of the resources? Once I destroy the interests of the divine gods and divine kings, I, a boy with no background and no strength, can imagine what the consequences will be. Putting aside the divine gods and divine kings, I ask Chu Li and the others, after seeing the token in my hand, do you want to replace it?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Chu Li looked at each other and finally nodded. Becoming the successor of the palace master, first of all, his status was noble, and second, cultivation resources were not a problem. Seeing Chu Li and the others answer, Mo Qingyun chuckled and said, "Don't worry, I'm only staying in the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace temporarily, I won't stay forever. This time when I return to the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace, I will return the token to Big Brother Chu to avoid any misunderstandings. These things don't belong to me, I won't take the slightest bit, but if I have the ability to get it, I won't hesitate." The expressions of Chu Li and the others changed greatly, they found it hard to believe. In their opinion, with the relationship between Mo Qingyun and Chu Jiangshao, as long as he fought for it, it might not be impossible for him to become the successor of the palace master. Compared to Chu Li and the others' shock, Chu Renyun's face was calm. He did not find it too strange. He had learned from Chu Jiangshao that Mo Qingyun wasn't interested in power at all. "This boy is very courageous. It's a pity that he's not a junior of my barbarian demon clan." Looking at Mo Qingyun's performance, Manchu could not help but praise and feel a sense of pity. Under everyone's gaze, Mo Qingyun put away the palace master's token and said, "I won't talk about my relationship with the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace. Let me talk about the matter of me robbing the barbarian demon clan. I just said, I will definitely fight for what belongs to me with all my strength. Although I used some small tricks to obtain some cultivation resources from your hands, but this is a counterattack I made after you hurt me. It's a kind of compensation for me. I only took some cultivation resources, I did not take your lives, this is already the lowest revenge." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yuli and the others fell silent. The situation was indeed like this. In the Diho tribe, Mo Qingyun seemed to have schemed against them time and time again, but in reality, he did not cause much harm to them. Chapter 31-34. After listening to Mo Qingyun's words and recalling their previous experiences, Yuli and the others nodded in understanding. Although they had been tricked by Mo Qingyun had a good grasp of propriety and didn't really take their lives. At this time, Mo Qingyun looked over again. He looked at Yuli and the others and said in a deep voice, "Although I obtained some cultivation resources from your hands, I also paid a price. For example, during the few days when Yuli was heavily injured, not only did I protect him, but I also treated him from time to time. As for my friends from the barbarian demon lineage, I paid an even greater price for you. According to our original agreement, I only needed to lure over the ancient undead demon. However, when the ancient undead demon attacked you, I stood in front of you and blocked its attack. I was even heavily injured because of this. It was also because of this that the injuries I suppressed erupted once again. If I wasn't fast enough, I might have died from the pursuit of the ancient undead demon. Tell me, is it not right for me to take some benefits from you? I was heavily injured and needed cultivation resources to heal. My injuries were caused by you, so of course I would ask for cultivation resources from you. Yuli and the others were speechless when they heard Mo Qingyun's words. Although there was something wrong with this, they couldn't pinpoint exactly what was wrong. Before Yuli and the others could question him, Mo Qingyun looked at Man Chong and said, I will now answer the first question. Everyone thinks that I faked my injuries and cheated Senior out of 5 million heaven crystals. I have to defend myself on this point. The reason I took Senior's heaven crystals was because Senior injured me. There is nothing wrong with compensating me with heaven crystals. As for this time, Senior injured me again, causing my injuries to erupt once more. It is only right for me to compensate you. Of course, Senior is a God King. If you really don't want to compensate me, Junior can't do anything. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Man Chong snappily snorted and said, Boy, don't try to goad me. I won't fall for it. Although he didn't want to admit it, he had to admit that he had indeed injured Mo Qingyun twice. Mo Qingyun didn't care about Man Chang's anger at all. He said calmly, Senior, I've said what I wanted to say. As for how to decide, it's up to you. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Man Gui pondered for a moment before saying, Boy, after hearing about your actions, I was indeed very angry and wanted to teach you a lesson. However, I do feel some sympathy for you after hearing what you said. I am a God King. Why would I bother with a junior like you? Here are 1,000,000 heaven crystals. Take it as compensation. If you have the chance, come to Barbarian Demon Imperial City for a visit. I'll give you something good. After he finished speaking, he took out a bracelet and handed it to Mo Qingyun. Many thanks, Senior. Mo Qingyun did not stand on ceremony with the bracelet that Man Chong threw over and directly caught it in his hand. Seeing such a scene, the surrounding people and demons were all stunned. What kind of situation was this? Could this be considered as Mo Qingyun scamming Man Chong again? In a short 3 days, he scammed a God King twice and didn't even get angry at the God King. This kind of ability was also too impressive. Without waiting for everyone to recover from their shock, Man Chong looked at Yuli and the rest of the demons and said, Don't stand there foolishly. Follow me back to Barbarian Demon Imperial City. After Man Chang's words fell, he brought Yuli and the rest of the demons and left the ancient demon cave. Under Man Chang's lead, they flew out of the ancient demon cave. Yuli looked at Mo Qingyun with a complicated gaze. He clearly remembered that back then in the cave, Mo Qingyun said that he would scam celestial deities and god kings. Originally, when he heard Mo Qingyun's words, he did not take it to heart and felt that Mo Qingyun was boasting. But now, Mo Qingyun actually really did it. Not only did he do it, the one who scammed was even God King Man Chong. This result made Yuli very confused in his heart, feeling somewhat incredulous. Finally, Yuli let out an emotional sigh and said, truly impressive, with a glib tongue, he actually explained all the problems flawlessly. For me to fall at his hands, I can't be considered too unjust. Yuli thought in his heart, even Man Chong was scammed twice, what did he count for? At this moment, he really admired Mo Qingyun in his heart. This kind of ability was not what ordinary people had. Let's go too. Seeing Man Chong and the rest leave, Chu Renyun shook his head with a bitter smile and called everyone to leave the ancient demon cave. He also did not expect that it would be like this in the end, letting Mo Qingyun fish up another 1,000,000 heaven crystals. Compared to Chu Renyun's helplessness, Chu Li and the rest were similarly stunned, each and every one of them opening their mouths wide. What did I see? He scammed another 1,000,000 heaven crystals from God King Man Chang's hands. He actually really did it, Successfully scamming God King Man Chang again. Can't not be convinced, in terms of swindling people, Mo Qingyun is really too strong. Who's best at swindling people? Myriad Demon Imperial Palaces Mo Qingyun. F***ck, there's no sense of disharmony. The Myriad Demon Imperial Palaces people sighed emotionally. Different from the people at the side, Chu Li's gaze when looking at Mo Qingyun now contained some dissatisfaction. Earlier, Mo Qingyun's hint made him clearly feel that Chu Renyun was somewhat dissatisfied with him. Sensing Chu Li's gaze, Mo Qingyun knew what he was thinking and said, "I know what you're thinking in your heart, but have you ever thought about what trouble your questioning just now brought me?" Facing Mo Qingyun's questioning, Chu Li was at a loss for words, showing some lack of confidence. He questioned Mo Qingyun just now, it was just an instinctive doubt, he did not think so much. But no matter what, his question just now had almost caused Mo Qingyun to die. Seeing that Chu Li was silent, Mo Qingyun chuckled and said, "You might be thinking that it was an unintentional mistake, I didn't mean to harm you. But have you ever thought that your unintentional mistake might have cost me my life?" Chu Li was still silent. He could not refute Mo Qingyun's words. Mo Qingyun did not stop talking, he continued. "Chu Li, you have a strong background in the Myriad Demon Imperial Palace, even if you killed me, you might not be punished. After all, between you and me, the choice is very simple. I'm a boy with no background, and I'm the descendant of a rich family." Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he sighed and said, "I don't blame you, I can only blame myself, who asked me to not have a good life like you." Hearing Mo Qingyun's sigh, Chu Li felt apologetic and said, "I really didn't mean it this time, I've let you down, how do you want me to make it up to you?" When Chu Li's words came out, the surrounding people were stunned. Mo Qingyun had fooled Chu Li with just a few words? End of chapter. Chapter 31-35. On the Flying Boat. From your point of view, you are not wrong. You don't have to feel that you owe me. Mo Qingyun shook his head and refused Chu Li's compensation. He sat down cross-legged on the spot and began to cultivate and heal his injuries. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Chu Li wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, he sighed and retreated. In his opinion, with Mo Qingyun's character, refusing his compensation should be really angry. Looks like I was really wrong this time. Chu Li thought about it. The apology in his heart was even more intense, and he blamed himself even more. Thinking about it from another perspective, if he was Mo Qingyun, he would probably be even angrier. Previously, he was still a fellow disciple who fought side by side, but when you were in the most danger, he stabbed you in the back. If it was anyone else who encountered this situation, they would not feel good in their heart. I'll find a chance to make it up in the future. Chu Li sighed and sat down at the side, not speaking anymore. Seeing Chu Li's performance, Chu Renyun's expression eased up a little, and his dissatisfaction with him lessened a little. It could be seen that he did not mean to question Mo Qingyun before. Seeing Mo Qingyun begin to heal, Chu Renyun did not stay idle. He walked to Mo Qingyun's side and sat down. In his opinion, Mo Qingyun's injuries were not light, and his healing speed was too slow. If he helped, the speed should be much faster. Sitting down beside Mo Qingyun, Chu Renyun's right hand lightly raised, and imprinted on Mo Qingyun's back. Immediately, a mysterious and powerful force was emitted from Chu Renyun's palm. This force seeped into Mo Qingyun's body. Like moistening rain, it healed Mo Qingyun's injuries little by little. Mo Qingyun's recovery ability was originally extremely strong. Now, with the help of Chu Renyun, his recovery speed instantly reached the extreme. Immediately, everyone discovered that Mo Qingyun's injuries were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye, and his aura quickly stabilized. What an astonishing recovery ability! Chu Renyun helped Mo Qingyun recover from his injuries. He knew better than anyone how fast Mo Qingyun's recovery speed was. Following that, Chu Renyun revealed a shocked expression and said, "At this rate, his injuries will be healed in at most 2 days. An ordinary person would need a few months to recover from an injury, but he only needs 2 days. This recovery speed is terrifying." Although Chu Renyun was shocked in his heart, he did not hold back and did his best to help Mo Qingyun recover from his injuries. Sensing Chu Renyun's help, Mo Qingyun's heart was slightly happy, and he was even more grateful to Chu Renyun. If it wasn't for Chu Renyun's help, even if his recovery speed was fast, it would take at least 10 days to heal his injuries. In this way, he would have to stay in the heaven realm for 10 days. Judging from the current situation of the star-field realm, 10 days was too long. If the true absolute beginning Devil Hall met with a calamity in these 10 days, he would never forgive himself. Due to Chu Renyun helping Mo Qingyun heal, the speed of the flying boat was a little slower. It took them 2 days to return to the 10,000 Demon Imperial Palace. After these 2 days of healing, Mo Qingyun's injuries were completely healed. What a fast recovery speed! Such heavy injuries healed in 2 days. If it were me, even with Elder Chu Renyun's help, it would probably take a few months. Elder Chu Renyun's help can only be a support. It's mainly his own recovery ability. Mo Qingyun's original body is an amethyst thunder dragon. The physique of an amethyst thunder dragon is naturally powerful. Everyone discussed Mo Qingyun for a while. They were both impressed and envious of him. Just as Mo Qingyun said, he was a guy with a very low background, but he was actually more outstanding than them. Although they did not want to admit it, it was impossible for them not to be envious in their hearts. "Elder, we're here." Arriving at the 10,000 Demon Imperial Palace, a celestial god powerhouse who accompanied them reported to Chu Renyun. Hearing the other party's report, Chu Renyun's figure moved and he went out of the flying boat. Seeing Chu Renyun walk out of the flying boat, the others followed closely. Very soon, everyone arrived at the assembly hall under Chu Renyun's lead. At this time, inside the assembly hall, Chu Jiangshao and the rest were already waiting. "Palace Lord, we lived up to everyone's expectations and won the Ancient Demon Caves competition." Chu Renyun walked into the assembly hall. He reported the battle results to Chu Jiangshao and the rest with a look of joy. Hearing Chu Renyun's report, Chu Jiangshao and the rest were overjoyed, all revealing carefree smiles. This ancient demon cave was very ancient and very massive. Being able to occupy it, that was a tremendous harvest. Knowing that they won the competition, Chu Jiangshao revealed a curious look and said, "Elder Chu Renyun, tell us about the process of the competition." "Okay." Chu Renyun nodded. Immediately after, he started recounting the process of the competition, as well as the matter of Mo Qingyun tricking Divine King Barbarian Trap. Hearing Chu Renyun's narration, Chu Jiangshao and the rest were all stunned, feeling like it was somewhat surreal. An initial stage Heavenly Soldier Realm cultivation actually tricked Divine King Realm powerhouses. Furthermore, he tricked them twice. This kind of thing was simply unheard of. This brat is really too monstrous. I have some understanding of Barbarian Trap. Although this guy is a boorish fellow, he's not easy to fool. It's just that the part where he pretended to be pitiful at the end was a little too dishonest. Hearing what he said, I feel like the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace is a place of conspiracy. I'm warning you all, if you hold a grudge because of this, then he'll really be right. After knowing about Mo Qingyun's matter, the way everyone looked at him changed greatly. However, Chu Jiangshao still had a faint smile on his face. He looked at Mo Qingyun approvingly and nodded, saying, "Little friend Mo, you've worked hard this time. On behalf of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace, I thank you. Big brother Chu, you're too polite. You've helped me so much, it's only right that I contribute to the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace." In the face of Chu Jiangshao's gratitude, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and shook his head. He raised his hand and took out a token, saying, Just now, Elder Chu Renyun has already told everyone my thoughts. I'd better return this token to you. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he threw the palace master token to Chu Jiangshao. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, everyone in the hall was stunned. He actually really returned the palace master token. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Chu Renyun's expression was one of shock and disbelief. Mo Qingyun's explanation to Barbarian Trap, the part where he pretended to be injured, was something he helped to conceal. He knew that what Mo Qingyun said before was not completely true. Therefore, Chu Renyun did not think that Mo Qingyun would really return the palace master token. Perhaps it was just a bluff. He did not expect that Mo Qingyun would really take out the palace master token and return it to Chu Jiangshao. At the same time that Chu Renyun was shocked, he sighed in his heart and said, "This kid is really bold. It's a pity that he's not a disciple of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace." When this thought appeared in Chu Renyun's mind, his expression suddenly changed, and the gaze he looked at Mo Qingyun with changed again. At this moment, he suddenly realized why Mo Qingyun had exchanged the palace master token. End of chapter. Chapter 31-36. So in our hearts we have never acknowledged him. No wonder he has such thoughts. Chu Renyun suddenly realized Mo Qingyun's position in his heart and understood Mo Qingyun's thoughts. In the hearts of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace's disciples, Mo Qingyun was not one of them, so how could they let Mo Qingyun have a sense of belonging? Everyone did not acknowledge Mo Qingyun, so it was not a good thing for Mo Qingyun to have the palace master's token. Not only would it not help him, it would also bring him a hidden disaster and bring him many unknown troubles. Looking at the palace master's token that Mo Qingyun handed over, Chu Jiangshao did not stop him and casually put it away. After Chu Jiangshao put away the palace master's token, some people's gazes towards Mo Qingyun had clearly changed. This change was not obvious, but if one carefully sensed it, they would discover that their hostility towards Mo Qingyun had clearly weakened. Chu Jiangshao noticed this and nodded towards Mo Qingyun, saying, "Previously, I did not consider it thoroughly and brought you some trouble. At that time, I gave you the palace master's token so that it would be more convenient for you to travel around the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace. The palace master's token is too important and it is indeed inappropriate for you to have it. However, I will give you the status of a consecrator, so you will not be affected when you travel. If you become a consecrator of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace, you will not interfere with other people's interests and you will be able to stay here with peace of mind." Hearing Chu Jiangshao's words, everyone in the main hall was stunned. A person with an early-stage heavenly soldier realm cultivation had become a consecrator of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace. This was something that had never happened in the history of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace. Damn, an early-stage heavenly soldier realm consecrator, Teacher Mo is awesome now. He can boast about this for at least 1,000 years. In the entire heaven realm, a heavenly soldier realm consecrator, he should be the first one, right? Should be. Chu Li and the others were both envious and impressed. At this moment, their gazes toward Mo Qingyun had subconsciously lessened a bit of their hostility. Everyone gasped in amazement for a while before an old man with a cold and solemn expression broke the silence in the main hall. "Palace Master, the consecrators that are 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace recruits have always been Divine King Realm experts, or at least quasi-Divine King Realm experts. Moreover, they have extraordinary special means. He is just a junior in the early stage of the Heavenly Soldier realm. How can he become a consecrator of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace? If he becomes a consecrator of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace, wouldn't that be equivalent to raising a useless person? What would the other consecrators think? Hearing this old man's words, the other elders in the hall all nodded their heads in agreement. If Emo Qingyun became a consecrator, not only would it break the precedent set by the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace, it would also make the other consecrators unhappy. This would give people the impression that the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace's consecrators were of mixed quality, and Shui Buping was only a heavenly soldier. Looking at everyone's performance, Chu Renyun's brows furrowed, and he agreed with Emo Qingyun's words. Just the position of a consecrator was enough to make some people unhappy, not to mention the identity of the young palace master. This kid is really wise. He knows his own limits. Chu Renyun thought of this point, and his evaluation of Emo Qingyun immediately increased by a few notches. He said, "He did not hand over the palace master's token previously because not many people know about it. He is also not famous, so he won't attract too much attention. Now that he has made a great contribution in the ancient demon cavern, he will definitely attract some attention and lead to some potential trouble. When everyone is paying attention to him, he handed over the palace master's token. This is telling everyone that he has no intention of competing with them for benefit. This action has hidden wisdom. He might have said that to Manju in the ancient demon cavern in preparation for this." Thinking of this, Chu Renyun's evaluation of Emo Qingyun increased by a few notches. His wisdom were really not simple. When Chu Renyun thought highly of Emo Qingyun, he felt a little pity. After all, Emo Qingyun was not a direct descendant of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace. Of course, while Chu Renyun sighed, he also admired Chu Jiangshao. Chu Jiangshao's eyesight was really too terrifying. He had already seen through Emo Qingyun's extraordinariness. Looking at the elders whispering to each other, Chu Jiangshao did not interrupt them. He waited for them to finish before saying, "Elder Kuhi, I do not agree with your point of view. I don't think that a consecrator with a high cultivation will be of great use, while a consecrator with a low cultivation will be useless. A consecrator with a divine king cultivation can be used to protect the sect and resist the attack of strong enemies. But a consecrator with a low cultivation has his own special purpose. For example, a consecrator with a divine king cultivation can't help in the competition in the ancient demon cavern. Ask yourselves, if it wasn't for little friend Emo, would we have won the competition in the ancient demon cavern? We didn't think it through before. A consecrator does not only have a high cultivation. Let me make it clear now. As long as you are a talent, you can be a consecrator. For example, you can be a consecrator with a range of talents such as blacksmithing, alchemy, formation, etc. No matter how high your cultivation is. Hearing Chu Jiangshao's words, the many elders in the palace hall all nodded in agreement. Chu Jiangshao was right. Cultivation was only a standard to measure one's strength. It wasn't an absolute standard. Chu Jiangshao did not stop there as he continued. Previously, when we recruited consecrators, we measured their strength based on their strength. There is nothing unreasonable about recruiting divine king experts in this way. But now we are recruiting consecrators because we value their potential and special abilities. Hearing Chu Jiangshao's words, Suhi frowned, not knowing how to refute. Suhi was silent for a moment before saying, "Palace Master, I agree with the standards you mentioned. However, this old man does not feel that this person of the younger generation by the name of Emo Qingyun possesses any special abilities." Emo Qingyun frowned slightly and couldn't help but look at Suhi. A wave of doubt rose in his heart. He believed that he had never met Suhi before, nor had he ever had anything to do with him. If that was the case, why was this old man always targeting him? It was just too strange. Although Emo Qingyun was puzzled, he did not say anything. He just stood silently in the hall. He knew very well that the current situation was not something he could get involved in. Chu Jiangshao chuckled at Suhi's words. Then, a hint of displeasure appeared on his face as he said, "Elder Kuhi, You said that little friend Mo doesn't have any special methods. Let me ask you, is there anyone among your heavenly soldier realm juniors who can make God King Mangu suffer twice? Let's not talk about your juniors. Let me ask you, Elder Kuhi, is there anyone who can make Divine King Manjia suffer? I don't think so. In my opinion, this is a special ability that not even the juniors of Myriad Demon Emperor Palace have. Hearing Chu Jiangshao's words, everyone in the hall was shocked and no one dared to say anything. They knew that Chu Jiangshao was really angry this time. Chu Jiangshao was usually gentle and refined, but once he was angry, the consequences were terrifying. Thinking of this, everyone broke out in cold sweat for Suhi. End of chapter. Chapter 31-37. This matter is settled. Mo Qinyun will be the 66th consecrator. Seeing that Suhi did not speak, Chu Jiangshao did not ask for the others' opinions and made the decision domineeringly. Knowing that Chu Jiangshao was angry, the others did not ask for a snub and the matter was settled. Soon after, Mo Qinyun broke the precedent of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace and became the first Heavenly Soldier Realm consecrator. After confirming Mo Qinyun's conferment, Chu Jiangshao looked at Chu Renyun and said, Elder Chu Renyun, bring little friend Mo Qinyun to the Hall of Appointment and help him get a consecrator token. Also, help him arrange a residence. Yes. Chu Renyun nodded and stood up. He nodded at Mo Qinyun and said, Consecrator Mo, please follow this old man. I will take you to go through some procedures. Mo Qinyun nodded and bowed humbly. Thank you, Elder Chu Renyun. Mo Qinyun and Chu Renyun exchanged pleasantries before they walked out of the hall and disappeared from everyone's sight. After Mo Qinyun left, Chu Jiangshao's expression became unhappy and he berated the crowd again. If Mo Qinyun was here, he would definitely sigh with emotion. Chu Jiangshao was really domineering. Under Chu Renyun's guidance, Mo Qinyun did not encounter any obstruction when he received the consecrator token. However, when the disciples of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace learned that Mo Qinyun had become a consecrator, they were greatly shocked. Mo Qinyun, who was in the early Heavenly General Realm, had actually become a consecrator of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace. This was unprecedented. Soon, all kinds of gossip about Mo Qinyun spread in the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace. Do you know that Mo Qinyun's young palace master has been abolished and demoted to a consecrator? Isn't Mo Qinyun in the early Heavenly Soldier Realm? How could he become a consecrator? A Heavenly Soldier Realm consecrator? Are you sure this is demeaning? A Heavenly Soldier Realm consecrator, isn't this equivalent to taking benefits without doing anything? The consecrator seems to have received more cultivation resources than the young palace master. This is a profit. I heard from my martial uncle that Mo Qinyun obtained more than 10 million heaven crystals from the ancient Fey Cavern. 10 million heaven crystals. Isn't that too terrifying? Did he rob the entire ancient Fey Cavern? No, from my martial uncle's tone, he seems to have robbed a god king. A celestial soldier realm cultivator who robbed the divine king. Oh my god, how awesome is that? That's not all. He even got a direct descendant of the divine king to write an IOU. In short, he's so freaking awesome. He's going to be a consecrator now. Is he going to rob those God King consecrators? Dozens of God King consecrators, looting them all at once. That harvest, the more the disciples talked about it, the more mysterious it became. They worshipped Mo Qinyun more and more. It couldn't be helped. Everything Mo Qinyun did was earth-shattering to them. Regarding the sect disciples' rumors, Mo Qinyun did not know. Under Chu Renyun's lead, he arrived at the residence of the consecrators. The place where the consecrators lived was an enormous independent mountain peak. Many small courtyards were built on it. Mo Qinyun roughly counted the number of courtyards that had been built so far. There were about 100 of them. Following Chu Renyun to the mountain peak, Mo Qingyun discovered that the entire mountain peak was divided into a total of 10 regions. 10 courtyards were built in each region. The level division was very clear. Of course, it might also be according to first come, first served, and not according to strength. Very soon, Mo Qingyun arrived at the lowest level of the mountain peak together with Chu Renyun. Chu Renyun's arrival drew the attention of several consecrators very quickly. A few came out to receive. Elder Chu Renyun, why are you free to come here today? Elder Chu Renyun, you brought this little fellow here. Could it be that you brought him here to acknowledge a master? It's just that wanting to acknowledge us as masters isn't an easy matter. After exchanging a few pleasantries with Chu Renyun, the gazes of several consecrators landed on Mo Qingyun. In their view, Chu Renyun's purpose of bringing Mo Qingyun here should be to acknowledge them as masters. Among these consecrators, if they were not divine king realm powerhouses, then they were some capable people with special means. If they could acknowledge them as masters, that was absolutely a fortunate thing. Before this, there were many myriad demon imperial palaces elders who brought their juniors here to acknowledge them as masters. Acknowledge a master? Hearing the words of several consecrators, Chu Renyun smiled faintly and shook his head. He knew that these few misunderstood. However, the other party having such thoughts, Chu Renyun did not find it strange either. After all, Mo Qingyun's age and cultivation were vividly displayed here. Coming here, other than acknowledging a master, what else could he do? This boy's cultivation foundation is very solid. He's a pretty good seedling. His physique is also very strong. It should be an ancient dragon race bloodline. Indeed, a good seedling. Unfortunately, he's not suitable for us. There are a few suitable ones above. While Chu Renyun was smiling bitterly, the few consecrators sized up Mo Qingyun for a while and began to comment. With regards to the actions of the few consecrators, Mo Qingyun did not mind and stood in place with an indifferent expression. In the future, when he became a consecrator, he would live at the lowest level of the consecrator mountain and would meet these few people frequently. As such, it would not be good to embarrass them. There was no harm in letting them take a look. At that time, everyone would be familiar with each other. Mo Qingyun stood calmly. Chu Renyun could not watch as if nothing had happened. He hurriedly said to the few consecrators, "Everyone, this little friend Mo Qingyun is not here to acknowledge a master. He's a newly recruited consecrator of the myriad demon imperial palace." A newly recruited consecrator? Hearing Chu Renyun's words, the few consecrators were dumbfounded. What kind of situation was this? A person with heavenly soldier realm cultivation actually became a consecrator of the myriad demon imperial palace. This was a joke, right? Although these few people's cultivation did not reach the divine king realm, what they specialized in was not cultivation. The aspects that these few people specialized in were respectively pill refinement, artifact refinement, array refinement, and tactical layout. But what was Mo Qingyun specialized in? He was a person with initial stage heavenly soldier realm cultivation. Even if he started cultivating in his mother's womb, his accomplishments would probably be very limited. Elder Chu Renyun, are you sure you're not joking? Among the few consecrators, an old man holding an 8 trigrams plate asked with a solemn expression. When the other consecrators heard that, they also had nervous expressions and looked towards Chu Renyun. The news that Chu Renyun brought was too shocking to them. "I'm not joking." Chu Renyun nodded his head and said, "Little friend Mo's methods are rather special. I can't use words to describe it. You all should have some understanding after interacting with him for a long time." Chu Renyun naturally would not say. Could it be that he told these few people that Mo Qingyun's special methods were bluffing? If he said so, Mo Qingyun would probably become the target of public criticism on Consecrator Mountain in the future. Hearing Chu Renyun's words, the few consecrators all revealed suspicious looks, gazes looking towards Mo Qingyun curiously. They could tell that Chu Renyun was not lying. Looking at it this way, this little fellow in front of them was really a newly recruited consecrator. End of this chapter. Chapter 31-38. Seniors, actually, my situation is not as mysterious as Elder Chu Renyun made it out to be. Under the shocked gazes of the consecrators, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, "When I first came to the Heaven Realm, I met Big Brother Chu by chance. Big Brother Chu and I hit it off at first sight. He took care of me many times and helped me a lot. Previously, in order to make it easier for me to enter and exit the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace, he gave me the Palace Master Token. Later, I felt that it was inappropriate, so I returned the Palace Master Token to him in front of everyone. Although Big Brother Chu took back the Palace Master Token, he allowed me to stay in the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace peacefully and made me a consecrator. It's that simple." Listening to Mo Qingyun's story, the consecrators were even more confused. According to Mo Qingyun, Chu Jiangshao had once handed the Palace Master Token to him. Mo Qingyun had been given the Palace Master Token. Didn't this mean that Chu Jiangshao had wanted him to be the Palace Master's successor? This news was too shocking. Young Palace Master becoming a consecrator? Was it really that simple? Mo Qingyun was young and did not see the problem so clearly, but would they be the same? This matter seemed simple, but there was probably a deeper meaning behind it. This kid is not simple. Chu Jiangshao probably appointed him as a consecrator for some other reason. Although we can't interfere with the decisions of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace, we still have some influence. Chu Jiangshao probably sent him to the Consecrator Mountain to let him rope us in and build up connections. He really put in a lot of effort. It seems that this kid can't be underestimated. The consecrators were all old and experienced. After a simple soul conversation, they thought of many things. Immediately, the way they looked at Mo Qingyun changed greatly. Previously, Mo Qingyun was just an ordinary junior in their eyes. Now it was completely different. In their opinion, if nothing unexpected happened, Mo Qingyun would be the next Palace Master. Now, it seemed like the position of young Palace Master was abolished, but in fact, it was a kind of experience for him to quietly grow and build up connections. This was also the reason why Chu Jiangshao valued him so much. After thinking about a lot of things, the consecrator holding the 8 trigrams plate looked at Chu Renyun nervously and asked, "Elder Chu Renyun, is what this little friend said true?" Mo Qingyun was young and full of vigor. His words might have been a little exaggerated, so they didn't believe him completely. If Chu Renyun confirmed it, then there was no doubt. Their attitude towards Mo Qingyun also needed to be carefully considered. Consecrator Zhang Yi, there is no need to doubt. What little friend Mo said is true. Hearing this consecrator's words, Chu Renyun nodded seriously and gave him a clear answer. Although they had already guessed that Mo Qingyun's words were not false, hearing Chu Renyun's confirmation, the consecrators were still shocked. "Consecrator Mo, I hope you won't forgive me for offending you just now. Consecrator Mo has been conferred the title of consecrator by the Palace Lord at such a young age. Elder Chu Renyun, this is your dereliction of duty. Why didn't you inform us before Consecrator Mo came?" That's right. We were not prepared at all and neglected Consecrator Mo. The few consecrators fawned over Mo Qingyun. Looking at the actions of the few consecrators, Chu Renyun felt helpless and thought to himself, "These shameless old fellows are full of evil tricks. No wonder they can't improve their cultivation." With Chu Renyun's wisdom, how could he not see through the thoughts of these few consecrators? These few guys were trying to curry favor with Mo Qingyun. Clearly, they saw Mo Qingyun's potential and wanted to invest in Mo Qingyun. Although he understood the thoughts of these few people, Chu Renyun did not expose them. He smiled faintly and said, "Consecrators, you are blaming me. This matter was decided by the palace lord at the last minute. Even the elders did not discuss it. When some elders learned of this matter, they wanted to persuade the palace lord, but they were scolded by the palace lord unhappily. Consecrator Mo was just appointed and I brought him over. How could I have the time to inform in advance?" Hearing Chu Renyun's words, the gazes with which the few consecrators looked at Mo Qingyun immediately became even more cautious. From the looks of it, they still underestimated the importance that Chu Jiangshao placed on Mo Qingyun. At this moment, they were even more determined in their hearts to invest in Mo Qingyun. These few old fogies want to invest in Mo Qingyun. I hope you won't lose everything. Looking at the performance of these few consecrators, Chu Renyun was happy in his heart. His gaze was filled with deep meaning as he looked at Mo Qingyun. He thought to himself, "Kid, this old man has paved the path for you. Don't disappoint this old man. Ruthlessly screw these few fellows over." Thinking of the scene of the few consecrators being screwed over, Chu Renyun was secretly happy in his heart and developed a strong expectation. Seeing that the matter was already settled, Chu Renyun was not willing to stay and said, "Everyone, I still have to return to report to the palace lord. I will not continue to stay. As for Consecrator Mo, please take care of him." "Definitely. Elder Chu Renyun, don't worry. I will definitely take care of Consecrator Mo. Although our strength is average, who dares to bully Consecrator Mo is also not an easy matter." Hearing Chu Renyun's words, the few consecrators promised one after another. Seeing the performance of the few consecrators, Chu Renyun nodded his head in satisfaction and left from Consecrator Mountain. After Chu Renyun left, the few consecrators looked at Mo Qingyun with an attitude of trying to curry favor for no reason. Seeing the appearance of the few of them, Mo Qingyun's expression twitched and he instinctively raised his vigilance a little. Why did the few old fellows in front of him look like they were not good people? If Mo Qingyun's thoughts were to let the few consecrators know, they would definitely be very wronged. Their performance was their enthusiasm towards Mo Qingyun. It was a kind of display of goodwill towards Mo Qingyun. "Seniors, I'm new here and don't know the rules. May I ask which courtyard I'm staying in?" Under the sizing up of the few people, Mo Qingyun felt a little uncomfortable and opened his mouth to ask to divert the few people's attention. Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Consecrator Zhang Yi chuckled and said, "Consecrator Mo, we are all consecrators of the 10,000 Demon Imperial Palace. Everyone's status is the same. There's no need to be too reserved. In the future, everyone will treat each other as equals." When the other consecrators heard that, they also nodded their heads in agreement. The young man in front of them, they did not dare to really treat him as an ordinary young man. Regarding Zhang Yi's words, Mo Qingyun did not take it seriously. He still had a humble look as he said, "Senior, although our status is the same, age, experience, and cultivation, there's a gap. In the future, I still have to consult you all more. I really dare not treat you as equals." Seeing Mo Qingyun's attitude, the few consecrators' expressions all changed. Their eyes revealed a hint of surprise. They did not think that Mo Qingyun's attitude would be so modest. It was as if he had the attitude of seeking knowledge. This was not an act by Mo Qingyun. He really had the attitude of humbly seeking guidance. The people in front of him were all big shots with unfathomable means. If they were willing to give guidance, Mo Qingyun would benefit greatly. End of chapter. Baidu search 81 Chinese Websidio. No advertising message. Chapter 31-39. Seeing Mo Qingyun's humble attitude, the other consecrators nodded in agreement. Their impression of Mo Qingyun improved greatly. They had originally thought that Mo Qingyun would be a little arrogant after receiving Chu Jiangshao's attention. Now they discovered that they had guessed wrong. It wasn't as they had thought. Nodding approvingly at Emo Qingyun, Zhang Yi and the others led Emo Qingyun to his courtyard. On the way to Emo Qingyun's residence, Zhang Yi said, "Consecrator Emo, this old man's name is Zhang Yi. You should have heard that I'm proficient in formations. If you need my help, just ask." In Zhang Yi's view, formations had a wide range of uses. Emo Qingyun would definitely need formations in some places. Senior is a formation master? Hearing Zhang Yi's words, Emo Qingyun's expression changed to one of surprise. Curiosity appeared in his eyes. He had also studied formations. Although he had somewhat neglected it in the later stages, the foundation was still there. If he learned a thing or two from Zhang Yi, perhaps he would be able to pick up the path of formations again and gain some trump cards. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Zhang Yi's expression froze. He looked curiously at Emo Qingyun and said, "Consecrator Mo, from your tone, you seem to have studied formations as well?" "I had studied them for a period of time, but unfortunately, there was no one to guide me. My progress was slow and I slowly neglected it." In response to Zhang Yi's question, Emo Qingyun sighed and shook his head regretfully. Seeing Emo Qingyun's appearance, Zhang Yi's heart trembled and he immediately had an idea. He said, "These fellows don't understand formations. It's very boring for me to study formations alone. In the future, we can exchange ideas. If there's anything you don't understand, you can come and ask me at any time." Hearing Zhang Yi's words, Emo Qingyun's expression lit up. He hurriedly bowed to Zhang Yi and said, "Many thanks, Senior. This junior will have to trouble you in the future." Emo Qingyun could naturally tell that Zhang Yi was deliberately showing goodwill to him. Otherwise, if Zhang Yijin wanted to find someone to communicate with, she wouldn't look for a junior like him. Zhang Yi was a consecrator of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace, but he was not a prisoner of the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace. He had to stay in the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace and was unable to leave. If he really wanted to find someone to talk to, he could go out for a period of time and exchange ideas with some array formation masters. After expressing his goodwill to Emo Qingyun, Zhang Yi pointed to a sloppy old man at his side and said, "This is Ma Wenxing. He likes to plant some flowers and plants and makes himself sloppy all day. However, this old man does have some skills. The pills he made are surprisingly effective. If you are injured, you can ask him for a few pills. Of course, I don't mean that you will definitely be injured. It's better to be prepared, right?" Hearing Zhang Yi's words, Emo Qingyun was startled, and the way he looked at Ma Wenxing greatly changed. He knew that Zhang Yi and the others were not simple, but Emo Qingyun did not expect this. These people were either array masters or alchemists. Knowing these people's identities, Emo Qingyun was inwardly delighted. This time, he had profited greatly. If he could become friends with these people, he could ask them for advice in the future. This would definitely benefit him greatly. More importantly, from the way Zhang Yi and the others acted, they were all expressing goodwill towards him. Seeing that Emo Qingyun's gaze had clearly changed, Ma Wenxing proudly smiled and said, "Exalted Elder Emo seems to have a special interest in alchemy. The Tao of alchemy is much more profound than array masters. Every ordinary herb has its own unique medicinal properties. Different combinations of medicinal properties will give rise to mysterious changes. The knowledge involved in this is endless." Listening to Ma Wenxing's explanation, Emo Qingyun nodded in agreement, showing an expression of empathy. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, Ma Wenxing and the others' expressions changed, looking at Emo Qingyun in shock. Emo Qingyun's appearance did not seem to be an act. He clearly had deep feelings towards alchemy. Could he be an alchemist? Ma Wenxing inwardly cursed before asking, "Exalted Elder Emo, could it be that you know alchemy?" As an alchemist, Ma Wenxing had the deepest impression. He felt that Emo Qingyun was the same kind of person as him. Not only was Ma Wenxing surprised, but Zhang Yi and the other two also had astonished expressions. because Mo Qingyun's current attitude and his attitude towards array masters were on a completely different level. I can. In front of Ma Wenxing, Mo Qingyun didn't dare to say that he was an alchemist. In the Heavenly Soul continent, he was an unrivaled senior alchemist. But after arriving at the Wild continent, he began to neglect the aspect of alchemy. Although he did some research later on in the star field, he rarely did anything. Thus, his alchemy Dao research was only a bit better than in his previous life. The gap between him and Ma Wenxing was too big. Hearing Mo Qingyun's answer, Ma Wenxing frowned. He was a bit more curious about Mo Qingyun. He faintly felt that this youth in front of him was somewhat unfathomable. Interesting. Ma Wenxing wasn't the only one who felt it. The exalted on the side also discovered Mo Qingyun's mysteriousness. At this moment, their interest in Mo Qingyun became even more intense. This youth didn't seem simple. However, after thinking about it for a while, they felt relieved. If Mo Qingyun was very ordinary, how could Chu Jiangshao care so much about him? After saying that Mo Qingyun was interesting, the middle-aged man chuckled and said, "I don't need exalted Zhang Yi to introduce me. I am Tang Kaihe. I usually like to research some tactics, such as magic abilities, joint attacks, or some military strategies." Hearing Tang Kaihe's words, Mo Qingyun's expression froze, some shock rising in his heart. He hadn't thought that there would be someone researching this. This was actually a special method. Seeing Mo Qingyun's reaction, the last boorish old man laughed and said, "Exalted Mo, don't listen to his nonsense. This guy looks refined, but he's actually full of evil tricks. All day long, he thinks about how to scheme against others. You should keep some distance from him in the future, lest you accidentally suffer a loss." Hearing the boorish old man's words, Tang Kaihe pretended to be annoyed and said, "Blacksmith, you are going too far. You are ruining my reputation and making exalted Mo misunderstand me. Besides, you aren't that good either. All day long, you are facing a stove, roasting yourself like a duck." Seeing the two powerhouses arguing, Mo Qingyun bitterly smiled. These old men didn't seem to be reliable. However, because of these people's actions, Mo Qingyun's relationship with them had become closer. After exchanging a few words with Tang Kaihe, the boorish old man smiled faintly and said, "This old man is Lu Fengyi. I am not as eloquent as them. I will put it simply. In the future, if exalted Mo needs weapons or armors to be forged, strengthened, or repaired, you can come to this old man." Hearing Lu Fengyi's words, Mo Qingyun was moved again, and a look of surprise appeared on his face. He hadn't thought that this boorish old man was actually a blacksmith. At this moment, Mo Qingyun sighed in his heart. The 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace's exalted elders were indeed not simple. End of chapter. Baidu Search 81 Chinese Networko. No advertising message. Chapter 3140. There are a total of 5 people living on this floor. I wonder what the last one is capable of? After familiarizing himself with the 4 of them, Mo Qingyun was extremely curious about the last one. Mo Qingyun had a vague feeling that the people living on this floor were not recruited because of their battle prowess. It was because the cultivation of the people in front of him was only at the peak heavenly god realm or quasi-god king realm. None of them had reached the god king realm. Roar! Just as Mo Qingyun was thinking, a deafening roar came from one of the courtyards. Immediately, Mo Qingyun saw a huge black shadow flying out from the courtyard. Quick, the old prodigal specter god is on the rampage again. This guy is always like this. A god king realm specter god? Is this guy crazy? Should we ask the guys above for help? Ask them for help? Can you afford it? The last time the 3 quasi-god specters went out of control, the old prodigal asked Fun Xianghu for help. Not only did that guy kill the specter god, he even took 3 million heaven crystals from the old prodigal. Stop talking nonsense. Let's attack together and suppress this God King Realm Spectre God first. The four of them conversed for a while before they charged at the black shadow and surrounded it. Rise. Zhang Yi formed a seal with his right hand and pointed at the 8 trigrams plate in his left hand. Soon, the 8 trigrams plate shone brightly and enveloped the black shadow. Bang bang bang, seeing that it was trapped by the 8 trigrams plate, the black shadow went berserk and charged at the light around it. When the black shadow was trapped, a middle-aged man in a black robe flew out from the courtyard that it escaped from. Suppress. The middle-aged man in a black robe flew out from the courtyard. He took out a talisman and threw it at the spectre god. The talisman flew out from the middle-aged man's hand and emitted a dazzling purple light and a shocking aura. Soon, the talisman landed on the spectre god's body, and its aura weakened. Seeing this scene, Zhang Yi and the others relaxed, and their hearts relaxed a little. If this God King Realm Spectre God had escaped, it would have caused a lot of trouble. If it had injured the 10,000 Demon Emperor Palace's disciples, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Roar! Just as everyone relaxed, the Spectre God suddenly became irritable. Its aura also became extremely violent. Following that, the crowd saw the purple talisman begin to flicker rapidly. From the looks of it, the talisman seemed to be unable to suppress the ghosts and deities. The situation doesn't look good. Seeing this scene, Mo Qingyun sighed in his heart, and his mood became tense. If they couldn't suppress the demon god and it jumped out of the mountain of consecration, it would definitely cause a lot of trouble. Can I be of some help? Looking at the situation in front of him, Mo Qingyun's mind was filled with a myriad of thoughts. After pondering for a while, Mo Qingyun had an idea. His expression tensed up as he said, "Let's give it a try. Hopefully it will be useful." The door of death. Dark swallowing heaven gate. Mo Qingyun's hands quickly formed a series of hand seals, forming 2 mysterious light gates that flew into the sky above the spectre god. When the door of death flew close to the spectre god, it enveloped it and formed a form of suppression. As for the dark swallowing heaven gate, it emitted a terrifying devouring power and crazily absorbed the energy of the spectre god. Seeing the 2 black light gates appear, Zhang Yi and the other 4 were shocked. Their eyes widened in shock. The people from the 9 great heavenly sacred sects were here. The few of them calmed down and looked at the source of the light gates. When they found out that the person who had cast the light gates was Mo Qingyun, they were all stunned. Consecrator. Consecrator Mo is a descendant of the dark heavenly sacred sect? With such mystique and bloodline aura, other than the dark heavenly sacred sect, could there be any other divine race? I didn't expect him to have such a powerful bloodline. No wonder Palace Master Chu thinks highly of him. Zhang Yi and the rest were shocked. They thought even more highly of Mo Qingyun. Although the black-robed middle-aged man didn't know Mo Qingyun, he still nodded gratefully. Although Mo Qingyun's cultivation wasn't high, he had won the middle-aged man's favor by lending a helping hand at this time. Not only that, but Mo Qingyun's timely intervention had eased the pressure on them. Mo Qingyun didn't care about what Zhang Yi and the rest were thinking. He urged, "The door of death can only suppress it for a few breaths. Hurry up and think of a way. If it escapes, there will be serious consequences." As Mo Qingyun spoke, his heart skipped a beat and he felt a strong sense of unease. He was shocked to find that the spectre god's spiritual consciousness had locked onto him. In other words, he had successfully pulled the spectre god's hatred onto him. When they realized that the spectre god's hatred had shifted onto Mo Qingyun, Zhang Yi and the rest were dumbfounded. What was going on? 5 quasi-god king experts had let a junior in the early stage of the heavenly soldier realm draw the hatred of the god king realm ghost god away. In other words, the 5 of them couldn't even compare to a junior like Mo Qingyun in the eyes of the spectre god. This was too much of a blow to their morale. He's looking down on us too much. The 5 of us together can't even compare to consecrated MO. Consecrated MO is indeed extraordinary. A heavenly soldier realm cultivator actually stole the limelight from the 5 of us. Maybe consecrated MO has a protective talisman left by Palace Master Chu on him, which attracted the specter god's attention. That should be the case. Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and think of a way to suppress the specter god. Otherwise, we're all doomed, they exclaimed. Their expressions were tense as they quickly thought of a solution. However, after thinking for a while, they still couldn't come up with a solution. Bam! A loud sound was heard. The door of death had collapsed. The specter god rushed out and became even more violent. Not only that, but the talisman that suppressed it was flickering even faster. At this rate, the talisman would explode in a few breaths' time at most. However, Zhang Yi and the others still couldn't come up with a solution. Bam! Another loud explosion was heard as the talisman that was suppressing the God King realm ghost deity exploded. As the talisman exploded, the black-robed middle-aged man suffered some injuries and spat out a mouthful of blood. At the same time, his face paled and his breathing became a little chaotic. The talisman exploded. Zhang Yi, who was controlling the 8 trigrams to suppress the specter god, suddenly felt the pressure increase. He said anxiously, "Old man, hurry up and think of a solution. I can't hold on much longer." Hearing Zhang Yi's urging, the black-robed middle-aged man's expression tensed up and he appeared to be a little flustered. If he had a solution, he wouldn't be here now. The commotion caused by suppressing the specter god attracted some people from the 5th and 4th levels of Consecrated Mountain. When these people came, Zhang Yi and the others relaxed a little. If they really couldn't do it, they would pay a price and ask them to help. End of chapter. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.